That figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and they say they went there on the because he keep on telling us that these experts you came from Dubai and he found them they're already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to State House, they're just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. And here we are. It's Wednesday. Whoa, the microphone has even fallen off. My goodness. Okay, but then, as it goes off, we can put it back. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Good, Ochanda. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. It's a fine morning.
It is.
Yeah, at least the town has loosened up.
The town has loosened up. Everybody has gone back to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, sure.
So we can continue with business.
Yeah.
Oh, the status quo. Uko salama?
Niko salama.
It rained yesterday.
Yeah, it rained, but at least the town is not as worse as it was last month. Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
If it's another day of rain, it perhaps would be different. But it's all good because the showers, I've insisted that there be showers of blessing. Yes. So, Uko salama?
Niko salama sana.
Okay.
I'm very much ready.
For what?
I'm ready for
Wednesday. You're ready for Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Fantastic. It is actually Wednesday. Let me see if I can get my numbers correct today. It's the 13th of May. It's Wednesday, and we are in 2026. All factors remaining constant. Abi? All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right, correct.
I think the world would be happy to know that today, Joyline woke up, decided Wednesday is a good day to wake up and come to work. Sindio? And then she has made it happen.
Yes, sure.
We clap for her because it's not every day is the same.
Yeah.
So if we start off the day like this with Joyline waking up before 6, it's fantastic.
That's sure.
And then all things fall into line. And then, I have to applaud women who, or even men, I don't know if I think some do it, but who can do their hair by themselves at home and then show up as though they just stepped out of a salon. I don't understand.
Okay.
But Evelyn...
Evelyn Moja.
Njeri. Have you seen her? You've not seen her. Maybe she'll sneak
I've seen her.
Yeah.
No.
She did her hair by herself. Me, I can't even... With God, I don't know, comb my hair by myself just because
even combing.
if you see my hair, you'll understand.
You can see mine is well done. I did by myself.
Well done. You did by yourself. Well done.
Yeah, you can see the contours.
We're very happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you were to see my hair, it's like a lion. So to even understand how anyone can even, I applaud you. I'm very, congratulations. That's all to say that Evelyn is doing fine this morning. And
yeah, I've seen her. She's very much fine.
Yes, Kabisa, you concur. You endorse this message?
I do.
Okay, that's great. All to say that everybody's fine and getting into it this morning. Mutanu has also come here fluttering in like a fairy. So she's also fine.
I saw you gave her some presents.
She's just a sweet girl.
Oh.
Woman, lady, how do you say? I'm sorry. Okay.
No, for you ladies, even at whatever age, you can still be referred to as a girl.
Cindy, or even me, I'm a girl.
Us,
for you, if we say, like now, if I say Allan, you boy, you feel
it's offensive. I'll walk out.
Disrespect.
I'll walk out.
You'll walk out.
Yeah, you remember those campus days when Babu will say, "Don't confuse a short man for a boy."
Sasa wewe ndio umesema si mimi.
Babu, nimesema Babu alisema hiyo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Babu ndio alisema.
Babu ndio alisema, sio mimi.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. Karibu sana. This is all to say that us sitting here and having this together is not just us, but there's a whole team of people that put it together. So fantastic to always come together and have these conversations. This is the Situation Room, 12 minutes after 6 o'clock on this Wednesday, the 13th of May. We're getting into things today. So karibuni sana, and thank you for already joining us as we get into it. Karibu, karibu. Audience on KTN, a very, very good morning to you. It's a wet Wednesday morning, but let that not dampen your spirits because there's always something to look forward to. The Prince of the Wanga Kingdom, Allan Ochanda, here with us this morning, has landed. And he's around. If you were in my village, I would say Odoziani. Yeah, so usually the royalty are usually named for the things that they do. You understand?
Different royalties, but we have a convergence.
Oboefi, Ogene, Odoziani. So now I would call you Odoziani, he who prepares the ground. So now you're not named Prince Allan, you're named Odoziani. The one who prepares the ground. I don't know how you people in Wangaland would say it.
No, we have them. But for us, it's 4 seasons.
Oh, 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
So you are the one. Are you the?
Maybe I should consult because you see, I cannot take over the crown. There's a king. You know King Peter Mumia the second. King Peter Mumia the second.
From where?
From Wanga.
Kai God, now me.
Yeah.
How am I to? Okay.
I should.
Let's just pretend. Yes, I know.
If you're coming from a kingdom, you should know about other kingdoms. We are very few in the world.
I know we are very few. We are very few. It is true.
Yeah.
But I know about a lot of the others that are still in existence. It is just yesterday that I heard about the Wanga Kingdom. I will do my due diligence and get to know and research a lot more about it.
But you could see all the guests who are here were acknowledging that. Yeah, even Madam Purity Ngirishi, she learnt about it. In GHC, this is actually our curriculum here. Before it was changed to social studies.
So as to say that...
So that topic is still constant. All the kingdoms.
Okay.
Kabaka, and then Kenya Wanga.
So,
the Bungada Kingdom.
So, Your Highness.
Yeah, thank you. Asante.
So I did take the video. I did. I don't know if you can see it very well, but we'll see if we can figure that out later. I took the video, I promise you. And then interestingly enough, there are people on the road, maybe they heard me, maybe somebody whispered somewhere, because there's suddenly some people on the road sweeping. You know how they sweep to prepare so that they can now come and start laying the thing again? It's possible that they heard me, and I was taking the video. One fella now actually smiled at me, so I was like, okay, well, let's see if they actually do something about it moving forward. Abby? All right. So that all points to conversations that we will be having today. And thank you very much for joining us. Yes, our audience on KTN, a very good morning to you. And our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Find us where you'll find us this morning, and then chip into the conversation. Karibu sana. And let me tell you what we'll be talking about today. Because it is another day packed with conversations. The Africa Forward Summit came to a close yesterday. So now I guess everybody's gone back to their country to move Africa forward. That's the best that I'm going to be able to say for that at this point. And one can just only hope and pray. Abby? Okay. So, at 7 o'clock, we're going to be looking at the goodies from France. It's appearing, there were some things that came. You know how they say when you go to somebody's house, you don't go empty-handed.
You can't go empty-handed.
All right.
It's just African.
It is.
And you see for the French, the policy of assimilation. So they do things the African when they come here.
They have to behave themselves.
They should come here empty-handed. Over 250 deals.
Professor X Iraqi is an economist. He's going to join us, and we'll talk about the financial gains of the Africa Forward Summit. And if they were supposed to be financial gains from the Africa Forward Summit in the first place. So we'll be talking about that with him at 7 o'clock. We then will talk with Jeremiah Kioni. We're going to understand his take on uniting the opposition. He's had a couple of things to say recently. So let's hear from him. He is the deputy party leader of the Jubilee Party. He joins us at 8 a.m. The Bishop Tony Kiama is a lead pastor at the KAG River of God Church and State, keeping leaders in check. It looks as though around election time is when, there's often the reminder that, hey guys, tone it down. We don't need to go crazy. But what role the church then does play. And Reverend Kiama has been vocal about a number of things over a period of time. So it would be lovely to then have this conversation to say, okay, are we keeping people in check? What are the things that we need to be checked about? So that's what we have in store today. Those are the proverbs that we'll be looking into today. So welcome to the conversation. And we know that some of you, different parts of the world today, are up and Adam already doing different things. Folks are trying to get to bed, doing whatever they need to do. But you take a minute to get into the show with us. So we are very grateful. Thank you. Okay, so as you know, we're in Eswatini this week. Our proverbs come from the kingdom of Eswatini.
This week is all about kingdom.
It is all about kingdom. So this will be interesting to hear what you have to say. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet. Only a fool tests the depth of the river with both feet.
Again, from the kingdom, and my interpretation will be that if you are venturing into some strange territories, you first of all have to do due diligence. Because if you go there, minus the requisite knowledge about those territories, maybe you could land into some problem.
Yeah.
So you have to carry out some due diligence before venturing into strange and unknown territories.
Absolutely.
Yes.
In I wish I could say it in my language, but for you, you probably won't understand. But we have a similar saying, which is that the rooster, the cock that enters into a new yard, stands on one leg until it knows the other cocks around. So they don't put both feet down first. They want to wait and see what things look like before now they are comfortable enough to put the second foot. Do they have feet? Do they have feet?
Yeah, those are feet. Those are feet.
Before it puts the other foot down.
Yeah. Remember, they're eaten. Those feet are eaten.
Yeah, they are.
Some people throw them away.
Yeah, imagine some people throw them away. You wonder why.
Yeah.
Guys, Karibu Sana, thank you for coming into the room. Let's say a quick hello to you as we're getting into things this morning. Tell us where you're tuned in from. And we're hosting this show today, and we'll have a couple of conversations, but we can't do that most times without you. And whether your comments and the active engagement in the conversation makes us then be able to propel things, that no matter what we bring, that you can talk with us about it. But it's always often always towards solutions, always, celebrating or, looking at something that needs attention. And so that's why we do what we do. So Karibu Sana, and thank you for joining us. We'll say a quick hello to you this morning, no matter where you are. Let's get into it. A very good morning to you, Peter Kiaria. And you're greeting us from Mombasa, and you say that your thoughts shape your tomorrow. Feed your mind with hope, gratitude, and belief, because positivity isn't just a feeling, it's the foundation of a brighter future. Positivity, a sprinkling of it definitely always helps. Kimiak says, good morning. A very good morning, Team Spice. Yesterday, the France out of Africa protesters were dispersed and some arrested. Polite reminder that nothing good will come out of the Kenya Kwanzaa. Kimiak, you're not letting go of this. Okay, I see. Consistency is actually quite a beautiful thing. Leo says, hello, Princess Nduh. Aseto's not here. He'll be back with us tomorrow or the day after. Scramble for Africa never ended. It just changed the name to multilateralism agreements. Africa is left with the paper with signature. The master carries the wealth. I've been saying it too. Let's see. Gekota says, good morning, Princess Nduh. Dennis not here. The Prince Allan is here. I'm waiting for the day President Ruto will go to France and shout them down. Macron can't do that even in Paris, only in Africa. You're tuning from Miami, Florida. Wouldn't it be interesting if somebody... Well, somebody argued yesterday and said, well, if that happened, that the people in the whatever would not be making noise. I said, okay.
And that actually, you also alluded to a proverb from your place. That also drives me to a proverb from a place. Not even a proverb, but a saying. He who feeds you will beat your mother in your presence. So that's actually what Macron was doing. I don't know if he's feeding us, but he plans to feed us.
Well,
and we're not aware. Maybe the father of the house knows that he's about to feed us.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Exen will be here and we'll talk about some of those things. Good morning from Nairobi, says Pan-African Kenyan. A very good morning to you. Karibu Sana. Thank you for being here. Boaz Nalianya says good morning, listening from Kitale and ready for the biggest morning show. Thank you. Robert Mbogo tuning from Mombasa. Amelia Mondi says good morning. It's a lovely morning. Today, Amani turns 4. See, this thing you are doing is not good, Mama Amalia. You have hidden this baby from us. She asked for the situation room where she was 3. She was 3. We knew she was 3 at the time. And now she's turning 4. She woke up and asking me to put for her SpiceFM for Auntie Nduh to sing for her happy birthday because she likes your voice. Well, you know what? Amani, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amani. Happy birthday to you. Easily our youngest Situation Room listener and asks to tune into the Situation Room. Happy birthday, Amelia. You're 4 and the world is at your feet, my darling.
Happy birthday.
May you have everything that you need and you have a wonderful mother and people who guide you. May the world be at your feet. And a very happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Mashari and Njeri says, good morning, tuned in Nduh and Ochanda. What is the name of the computer and cell phone being manufactured in Kenya?
So, Nduh, you are serious?
Yes, now.
Easily, we're talking about...
As you are seeing me now...
We're talking about the
manufacturing. As you are seeing me now, don't I look serious?
No, you look serious. You look
I
serious.
want to know the name.
But yesterday, we were talking about the manufacturing site. Now, today, you are talking about the name of the product.
Yes, now.
Come on, Nduh.
It's not me. It's not me who said. The president said we are manufacturing phones and computer.
Now that the
Kenya.
visitors have left, you remember when our mamas will have chamas? When they just leave, use the hindo to just maybe take some jugus.
Things go back to normal.
Yeah. So they go back to normal. And by the way, what were you saying when the visitors were here? Maybe we'll have that conversation with the president at the right time.
Masharia, you heard it from Ochanda.
Because maybe, Kenya is too big. Maybe some things are too hidden. Yeah.
Tibbs Muge says good morning. Erica also saying good morning to you. And Christina, good morning, sister. How are you doing? Jamil says good morning. Thank you for wishing my mom a happy birthday. She was driving to work when she heard you and she was amazing. By the way, I'm 18. Well done. You just finished school last year. Again, fantastic. And I think that it is great. And this is it. I love the spectrum of ages that listen and have conversations about some of the things that we do. So Jamil, keep at it, my dear. Isaac Ali says, Nduh, Kwani, you didn't do 844? Have a French free day, won't you? No, I did not. I did not go to school here. I didn't do 844. So let's end that conversation there, Isaac Ali. Okay, we are not moving beyond that. One Dennis Okari, I know if where he is wants to now stick a pin, but we shall continue. Good morning, your highnesses and the squad. You see, people have now fallen into the line. Nduh, beautiful. And those colors, Zimeweza, thank you so much. Do you intend on cooling the hot seat? Well, just my seat. I don't know about that one, but we'll see. Good morning to Flani. Hope you're well. Simon Kibiru says, good morning. Tune in from Sultan Hamoud. Eagerly waiting for today's conversations. Can't do without you guys. Asante Sana. And a very good morning to you, brother. Bila Mamushi says, good morning. I love you guys. Kudos for good work. Blessings. And to you too, Karibu. And thank you for being part of this every day. Good morning, SpiceFM. How are you all this blessed Wednesday? We're doing well. Let's have the joy for the Lord has given us this day. Amen, Bwangi. For sure.
Amen.
Fiery Red, good morning, Team Spice. Nduh, love your top. Thank you very, very much. You say you also endorse that nothing good will come out of the KK government. Oh, yeah. Positivity Patty needs to come into the room, guys. Pan-African Kenyan is tuned in this morning. We need to know why 7 billion shillings was paid to French firms for cancellation of the Rironi Mau Summit Road contract.
Yes.
Construction was supposed to commence in early 2023. Mm-hmm. You brought this up yesterday.
Yes.
And said, excuse me, this road now, that is, we're being told every day, Mau, Rironi, Mau Summit, blah, blah. That is,
I've been using that
poster
road since I was a kid.
Right. It's the poster child for development of roads in the country at the moment, right? But if somebody, this same French who came yesterday, who's supposed to have done the road, didn't happen, the contract was cancelled, maybe because it was an Uhuru project, and then President Ruto came in and said, no, we're not doing this. You have to pay 7 billion shillings for breach of contract. For cancellation of the contract, you pay 7 billion shillings. And then you proceed to do the same road again.
Another contract.
Can you help me understand?
With a different consortium of companies. Of course, not now from France, but now from China.
I know I don't see very well, but this one I'm not seeing at all.
No, you'll have to
somebody.
I also don't see well, so we cannot be.
Maybe it's us. It's good, probably us. We don't understand this thing.
Kenyans are very informed, very much informed, and so whatever they do, the feedback is actually quite instant. And you can see, like, if you cancel anything, they're actually questioning. If you're cancelling and then, of course, going into another contract, you are comfortable paying that fine, of that colossal amount, 7 billion, as a fine for cancellation of a lawful contract.
I smell
and still
a rat.
Ink another deal
to do the same road,
and then invite that president
to
whose contract you cancelled, then to enter into other deals. That's what Kenyans are actually asking.
I just think that the stuff that people are smoking, I want some of it because what? For you to do crazy things like this and live like you live on Mars, but then you're walking here. Hey, I want. Who's your petty? All right. Hi, all set for the show, says Vintage Oak. Very good morning to you, but that's a good point in Pan-African Kenyan because what? Kichini says good morning, tuned in for the first time ever. Yay! Welcome, Karibu Sana. We love it that you're here with us. Thank you very much. Mercy Wandera, hi Spice. Good morning to you. JD Dot says, love it top. Thank you very much. Tuned in from Masalani, Garissa County. Good to have you in the room today. Mercy Wandera says, I listen to you every day and I've never done a message. Good morning. I love listening to you as I prep my boys for school. I am glad that you sent a message today because this is the kind of thing that we love, guys, to have these conversations so that you come into the room with us. Welcome, each and every one of you. Welcome, as though you were the only one. Karibu.
Karibu.
James Kamau says, dear Mr. President, you taxed 1 million Kenyans 1,000 shillings. If you taxed 1 million Kenyans 1,000 shillings, you'd have 1 billion. But if you tax 100,000, some 10K, you would still raise 1 billion. Which one do you think is easier to raise? Dun, 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 dun.
Mathematics. Mathematics.
Exactly. Kimathi Nkrumah McConan says, good morning, hello everybody, tuned in Team Spice. Habari ya leo. Mwangi Juma says, SpiceFM, was this respect or loyalty? Where is Raila now? Spoken by Mr. John Badi in his statement that it's them who made Raila who he was. Yeah, I'm going to have to take that statement with a pinch of salt. I felt that it was, regardless of where he was speaking from, I felt that it bore with it a bit of harshness and a slight bit of disrespect. I think he should not have spoken in the way in which he did. And perhaps that's why when he finished that, he capped it off. The cherry on top was, I'm coming from a place of love, because your inner man will tell you, hey, you may be going off the rails here. And I think that's why he now came at the end of it and said, I'm speaking out of love, because he knew that what he was saying was a bit, crazy. Kichini says, even if we can't see well, the blind are leading the blind. Sindeo, Dr. Van Vick is tuning in this morning from Mombasa. Ama, wapi? Sindeo? Yes. Good to have all you in the room this morning. Karibuni sana. And thank you for being here every morning as you do. Always lovely. And I keep saying that because I truly mean it. So anybody who comes in later, we welcome you with open hearts and open arms. Abi, how do they say it? Okay, let's take a look at what's happening with the weather and the traffic situation in this Wednesday morning. And we'll come back and look into Wednesday. I have to remember, it's 6:30 on the nose. We'll come back and look into the headlines after this. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, right, still a chance of rain in Nairobi today. We'll see those conditions. It's partly sunny in some parts at 17. We'll see a high of 24 and a low of 16. Mostly cloudy at 14 into Nakuru with a chance of rain. It's 16 and cloudy into Njeri with a high of 23 and 20 in Kisumu this morning. Partly cloudy at 20. 18 and clear conditions in Kakamega, and it is partly sunny at 25 into Mombasa and 25 into Malindi. 20 into Marsabit this morning. Light rain showers already this morning, and it's 19 into Kampala, 24 and mostly sunny in Dar es Salaam. 10 degrees and clear into Johannesburg, while Lagos is cloudy at 28. We're looking into cloudy conditions at 9 in London, and it's sunny at 28 into Beijing. Tuesday night is mostly clear at 13 in New York. We'll see a high of 18 and a low of 13.
Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, what does it look like on the roads this morning? There's a little bit of traffic. It's coming in from the Thika Superhighway, likely to get a little bit busier as we get into the morning. But it's already red right there at the Pangani underpass. The tunnel is going to lead you through towards Maranga Road or then towards Wangari Maathai on the other side. So one to watch for now, but there's heavy traffic. It's all moving into the city. A little bit of patience will get you through to town without a problem. There's a bit of traffic on Valley Road this morning. It's coming in from Gong Road on one side, Owings Kodek on the other. The southern bypass looks good as you get through towards different parts where you need to go, avoiding the city. On Mombasa Road, I think you're okay for now. It's going to pile up. We see that. The parts where the rain came down and the water had nowhere to go, it's going to be slow a little bit. That's right around just past the airport as you approach Cabanas. North Airport Road is also busy. There's traffic coming in around Embakasi. In and outbound traffic is already doing the thing there. So Njeri, Kangunda Road, all that traffic coming in from there is going to touch on Outer Ring at some point. So it's slow. It's moving for now. All right, let's talk. Let's keep things moving this morning. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
The heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a Star Times decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
You guys need to meet Njeri. She's not all together there, but okay. All right, let's get into it. It's 6:34, and the headlines this morning will start on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. Get yourself a copy of The Standard this morning. The Standard e-paper also available to you, so that if you can't get the paper, you can walk around with the news in your pocket. Bitok's passport heat is what's on the front page of The Standard today. We know that he is PS Basic Education now. He was in this other area. Despite mounting allegations over the irregular issuance of Kenyan passports and identity documents to foreign nationals, former Immigration PS Julius Bitok and Director General of Immigration Evelyn Cheluget have remained silent. Mum's the word. The latest claims gained fresh attention after documents shared publicly by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua pointed to a system that bypassed standard safeguards and fast-tracked approvals through senior immigration channels. Insider accounts and tracking records suggest a process that raised serious security concerns during Bitok's tenure. The lingering silence now leaves one central question hanging. When will Kenyans get clear answers on what really happened? You can't just rock up to Nyayo House and get a Kenyan passport. Believe me, I know.
As a Kenyan.
Even as a Kenyan.
But for some foreigners,
it seems that you can.
It's a that fast.
Yes.
Efficient for those departments.
You know why people are put in positions? Not just so they can do a job, or not just so that they can draw a salary, but that they can be held accountable. Now, if people who are not Kenyans and then they have some dubious activities attached to their names are getting Kenyan passports, one has to ask, who oversaw the process for this to happen?
And what is the motive?
And why would you do that? Yes, why would you do that? It sounds like a very simplistic question, but it's one that ought to be asked. And nature abhors a vacuum. So when you don't give an adequate explanation, guess what? The court of public opinion will fill that vacuum with speculation and innuendo
and eventually their own verdict.
Exactly. So, if you are silent, does it mean you are complicit? If you are silent, is it just as good as saying, yes, I did. I oversaw and approved the process of giving a would-be warlord, alleged warlord, a Kenyan passport. Yes, I did.
He's been sanctioned internationally.
Yes, Buana. If you're quiet, silence implies
consent.
Thanks.
And remember that when Rigathi Gachagua was serving as deputy president, he says, and of course he's been on, we saw it, it's actually on video. He was welcoming the Hemeti,
yes,
from Sudan. And he says he was sent by his then boss, President William Ruto. And to that extent, he has actually also made public those documents. And you see, when the crocodile comes out of the water and tells you that the hippo is unwell,
you might want
you have no reason not to believe.
Not to believe the crocodile.
And so that question will still linger during President William Ruto's administration, be it beyond 2032, whatever length of time he stays in office. That question will forever linger because he swore to protect Kenya's territorial boundaries.
Yes, he did, didn't he? Okay, well, we're going to look into that story because it's still a big deal. Somebody has got to answer. It has been months down the line that you can actually go and get Kenya's sovereign document and you're not a Kenyan without going through the proper channels, without doing the due diligence. Because you know what? If somebody actually did the due diligence to get somebody a Kenyan passport, what would be so wrong with you coming out to say, actually, you know what, guys? Take the speculation and toss it in the rubbish bin. This is how it happened. They went through and they jumped through all the right hoops. We crossed all the correct T's and we dotted all the I's. We got all our ducks in a row. But that you are silent. Gosh, it just
an explanation.
Yeah, man, just an explanation. Somebody needs to answer. We do not understand, or maybe we do, but we're not really applying as much importance to this thing as we should. Kenya's document of nationality gives you the sovereign pass around the world, depending on who's going to give you entry or not. But still, it is the thing that identifies you as a Kenyan. Now, you can just go and give to anybody, like you're handing out hot dogs at the state fair. No,
and remember, this is not an isolated case because we've had a governor for Trans Nzoia, George Natembeya. This is actually somebody, he's a bit different from the other governors by virtue of his former assignment.
Yes.
Remember that he's actually just from the security docket. He's been an administrator for 27 years.
Yeah.
He served as a DO. He rose to the ranks of a regional commissioner, very powerful. These are people who consume intelligence. And he's actually been on record saying that we are giving national identification cards to foreigners. It could be for simple reasons like maybe voting. They claim it's for voting.
That's not a simple reason, though, Ochanda.
Okay, as simplistic as it may sound.
Yeah.
But you see, eventually he says it's a security threat. Because once I wave this identity card, all the security operators will actually leave me to walk around freely, yet I might be planning something against this country.
It's
eventually.
True. It's true. It is true. We'll come back to this in just a minute. Let's look at some other stories that are making headlines. And I'm going to come out on a limb with my spirituality and say, guys, we need to pray. If it does, pray to the divine being that you pray to. But what is going on is there's something wrong. The stories that we see about defilement of children, left, right, and center. There's another one who was killed, and I don't know done what to. And then you come to hear that how students plan arson in 12 schools on social media. Use social media to plan how they're going to burn down the school. What is wrong? In this case, we're not talking about the delivery of knowledge through the channel of education. We're talking about that something is wrong, that children have seen the best way to deal with that matter is to burn down the school.
Burn down schools. I remember when we were in schools, burning, the thought of burning a school, not just a school, anything within the school compound, it was like a life condemnation. And so a permanent condemnation. You could not even conceive that thought because the punishment was dire. The condemnation was permanent. And so if you can plan on social media, because of course when you're planning on social media, it means that this communication is not foolproof. It's actually like spilling to everybody. You are not even worried. You see, if you're planning on social media to carry out arson in schools, what will you do when you're actually out here, when you're a free human, when you can do anything?
If the solution to a problem is destruction, and please get me right here, I do believe that with these kids in school, with these children, because they are children in high schools. They are children. I do believe that there is a problem. There is a genuine concern that they have. Either it is not being addressed, or it's not being addressed to their satisfaction, but there's something wrong. My problem is, how have we degraded as a society to the point where children then now say, because this problem has not been sorted out, the best avenue to take is the route of destruction. That for me is the issue. And as somebody will tell me, they've been burning schools down since 1984, it's okay. Still, whether it was 1984, 1994, or 2004, or 2024, it still is a problem. It's a point of concern that the route to take is this one, where we burn the thing down to the ground, and then we have 13 children who've been arrested, 33, I beg your pardon, children who've been arrested. We have 12 schools that have been closed down. They've been presented in court. That is going to be on you for the rest of your life. Your parents are going to have to deal with that. Will you go back to school? There's a problem here, and if these concerns are not being addressed, and then the things are being destroyed, who are we putting into society? And that's what I said, we have to pray, because this one is not just about matches and fire. There's something in the back end that needs to be sorted out. Honestly, I do believe.
And you see, Nduh, once these things happen, the school will of course need to repair the damaged property.
Yes, now
they will now shift that load to the parents.
Yes.
And the parents will now move to court. And the children are actually watching. They can do these things unabated because eventually they'll walk away from it. Remember that when these children are actually presented in court, they are minors.
Yes, they are. They are
What
minors.
charges are you preferring against them? What charges are you pressing against them? Will you nail them? Will you jail them? No. And so eventually, and you can remember that they say we cannot legislate morality. Even in the National Assembly, you cannot legislate morality. People are behaving badly, not just in schools. And so it's a system.
You're right.
National bad manners.
You're right.
It begins from the formative ages. And remember that when they did away with corporal punishment, that is when, because you can literally tell there's a difference in how different generations behave. Maybe we're the last generation that we underwent, we actually served with that.
We are going to start an argument here because the people who today went through that corporal punishment and they're beasts because they were not able to actually discuss things, Ochanda. There are people who are beaten to within an inch of their lives in school and they're dealing with those scars today as adults. Whereas I don't agree with corporal punishment because of the fact that some people then don't know their boundaries and then they injure children. That's the problem I have with corporal punishment. But then you also have people who are beaten and then they've taken all of that hurt and they've kept it inside, and then now you have dysfunctional adults.
They have anger issues.
Yeah. So there are ways to sort out these things. There are ways to sort out these things, but this is not the answer. There's a picture of French President of France, Emmanuel Macron, running with Eliud Kipchoge, and it talks about him displaying his soft side, the soft side of his presidency. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, soft side running.
Gachagua now is saying this Macron, Macron, 7 billion shillings muli pokea. You have now come back now to develop. Hapana. Alafu mnarudi kufanya. Yeah. So Gachagua is calling out Macron on that. The Senate pokes holes in doctors' health findings on Gachagua. They've poked holes into Karen Hospital CEO and cardiologist Dr. Dan Gikonyo health documents indicating that former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was ailing during the impeachment proceedings. Those senators saying, was he really ailing? Or was it video and drama?
Nduh, the legal proceedings are quite interesting.
That case comes out today, doesn't it?
Yeah. In the affidavit, I think the cardiologist, he wanted to indicate that Rigathi was unwell for 3 days. But an error resulted in the calculation of days as 31 days, because the second paragraph says, the upper house clerk Jeremiah Nyegenye, in his reply to Gikonyo's affidavit, claimed while the senior doctor indicated that the Gachagua was to spend 3 days under his care, a computer-generated document showed he spent 31 days in hospital.
So it could be a mistake.
It is a mistake, but it can't be a technicality that can be admitted in court.
Error.
It's an error.
You can actually go and swear an affidavit on an affidavit stating that in the affidavit was a mistake.
Maybe we see it today.
It's possible.
It's
going to be interesting to watch today.
Interesting. Quite interesting.
Africa deserves better partnerships, says President William Ruto. In his closing remarks yesterday at the Africa Forward Summit, he said, you know what? We need to do better on global financing. We need to do better on partnerships. I hope all of these ladies and gentlemen who were in the room actually listened to what he was saying. I think it's really interesting. This picture here of all the African presidents, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are not dressed in European wear. I just thought that was interesting.
Only 5.
Only 5 wearing kaftan and kente cloth and all these other fun things. Take that as you wish. House team demands answers on 1.5 billion shilling industrial sugar import. They're saying this sugar that you are now saying that we should be consuming, you probably are already consuming it. Anyway, don't say I said.
Industrial sugar.
They're saying is industrial sugar meant for manufacturing and not for consumption.
And you see, cannot differentiate between
you tell me mwenye anaenda kuchukua sukari ya 20 bob, then you say hii ni industrial ama ni kawaida. Come on.
Anakuambia acha nikunywe.
MPs query 2 billion shilling VIP protection budget amid poor police welfare. Cracks emerge. 2 billion. Cracks emerge in UDA as Emurua Dikir heads to pivotal by-election. Another by-election coming up. It's going to be by-election season well into July. State moves to clean up qualifications to set up recognition. What are we talking about here? The government is tightening the noose around academic and professional qualifications in reforms aimed at restoring credibility in education, aligning training with industry needs, and ensuring that skills acquired locally and abroad are formally recognized under a unified national framework. It's not the first time. Hopefully they can get it right this time, because I see how you can then plan a nation based on, that this is what we're going to need.
Yes.
Then can we ensure that folks who are getting into the education system are being trained in that area?
Tailor-make.
Absolutely. We've never been able to get that thing down pat. Hopefully it'll be a chance to do so. Looking into the opinion pages today, Faith Wekesa talks about we must celebrate all mothers, whatever their parenting choice. And we also have Edward Kipkalia, who talks about the Africa-France Summit. Stop chasing bandwidth. Fix the ping, essentially is what it says. Like I said, get yourself a copy of the Standard newspaper. If you don't get the paper, get a copy of the e-paper. Rather, get the e-paper in your pocket. Over to you, sir.
Nation, playing with numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen these administrations, successive administrations, really discrediting numbers. And remember that we have constitutional bodies that actually mandated with the oversight role. And so one of the offices is actually the Auditor General's office. Her findings have never made sense.
To who?
To government.
Okay.
And you can see there they've actually illustrated very well. Is it sour grapes? Is it a watchdog? It is actually a watchdog, but mistrust. Is there credibility? You can see there is a growing trend by officials, including the president, to discredit data when it is not flattering to the state. As a watchdog, the Auditor General, Controller of Budget, and National Bureau of Statistics, very key offices, have been on the receiving end of politicians.
Yeah.
Whenever they come up with findings, those findings are perforated, literally, by these key government officials as truthful, as not factual, maybe to just suit their political architecture.
Yeah.
And also mistrust. Row over economic, audit, and social statistics exposes deepening mistrust between government and accountability agencies. The mistrust. And you remember that whenever such things happen, whenever such officers come up with these data reports, maybe to stifle them, to hit back, they stifle them of budgets, they delay maybe funding them. And also you can really see credibility. Experts say oversight reports are promoting transparency and are changing the discourse to advance better governance. Maybe at 7, we shall be talking about these two.
Yeah.
About the experts are engaging them. And also remember that at the top there, they're saying the Uhuru administration attacked Auditor General's scathing report on Eurobond. And so whenever these reports are not conforming to their plans, the end game is to perforate them, attack them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Africa bids for energy deals with France. Remember when President William Ruto on Monday was saying that the French government, the French have been, they have this knowledge since World War II. And so maybe they are tapping into their expertise to ensure that we materialize the nuclear program that we have in Siaya as a country. Remember it was rejected in Kilifi?
Oh, hang on. You think that this partnership, especially on the nuclear, is because France is really eager for Kenya to actually bolster and develop its nuclear program?
The president said so.
Oh, okay.
They
and
have
since
the
you said so, it must be right. Okay.
They have the ability since World War II.
Just in case you don't remember, World War II started in 1942. 41,
Do you know
42,
how Africa
and ended in 1945.
Yes. When Raila was being born.
Yes.
Oh, rest in peace, Baba.
Yeah.
On page 2, police arrest 2 suspects in viral car theft video in Parklands. These are car thieves. They actually target specific car models. They also go for the spare parts right on the roads. They are so bold. And so police are saying they are moving in and they're actually now arresting suspects. You can see DCI investigators say one of the suspects captured on camera has repeatedly been in and out of prison over similar crimes.
So you know what that tells me?
Yes.
They know who these people are.
They know. Even if they are covered, they have covered their faces. They know them. Yeah, the police know them.
I don't know if you remember a couple of, not a couple, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and I believe it was in Islay, a gentleman, I don't know if to call him a gentleman now, but a man who was a perennial thief, robbery with violence, and they had been, they kind of knew where he was. He would dodge the police every now and then, dodge them. And I won't forget the video. It was somebody captured on their phone. I will never forget. The plainclothes officer on that day was wearing a maroon shirt. And they finally caught this. He was a young man. Maybe he was in 24, 25. It was a famous thief. And the officer at that time, when they finally got into close proximity with him, didn't think twice. Shot him right there in the street, broad daylight. And asked later, he said, I don't. Because what this guy has been doing, killing people, robbing them blind, crazy things, you don't allow him to live another day. And human rights people came out, they shouted, they made noise.
Is that Isili?
Yes,
Isili.
it was.
Rashid.
That was it.
Yeah, Rashid.
That was it.
The police officer.
Yes.
But he's in court.
He is over that. But the way, at that moment, he said, we've been looking for this guy forever.
Yes.
In that moment, he didn't think beyond the torture that they've been through, where guys are saying, you guys are not doing your job because you can't bring down somebody. So when he was asked, he didn't. He died. Hey, I was traumatized when I was like, how somebody's life can just go like that. But he said, you want to compare what has been happening on the hands of this man compared to what then I did. But my point being, this that's happening, that the police are in a lot of cases aware. They know them by name. Because it's not just a random guy who walks and tries to take somebody's grill off their car in traffic.
But maybe the police also fear that, yes, I'll do away with them. Because if you arrest them, the judicial system has a way of maybe releasing them, because of course they have a right They have all rights because they'll go to court, they'll get bails, they'll go back, continue with crimes. And you see, they have multiple cases in different courts.
Yeah.
Yes. Page 2 and 3 of Nation. Sad stories. Police arrest 2 suspects in viral car theft video in Parklands. Thugs who killed priest stole 60,000 from his e-wallet. Missing varsity student found dead as foreigner detained.
Why? Okay, it's enough.
Sad stories. And did you see that story of that student who was found dead?
Yeah.
Very young and beautiful.
Did you see the story yesterday of a house help yesterday in the Roysambu Kasarani area who was killed, allegedly killed by her employer because she was suspected of having an affair with her husband? What's going on?
Why not fire her?
Fire her.
Just fire her. Because you see,
walk away.
Now you'll go to jail.
Yes, you will.
You'll go to jail. Page 4, war over numbers. That's actually the top story. Puzzle of state officers disputing official data from agencies. So the top government officials want their data. Their data, which is not scientifically proven, it's not backed by any facts, maybe to stand. And you see, that is misleading. Because when you come and tell me you've employed this number of people in this particular agency, maybe because of course they normally carry out audit of the regional representation in any departments. Those are actually commissioned by the constitution. But the government officials come here, they dispute the numbers, perforate them, maybe to suit their political standing. And of course, what they want to drive to the public with 2027 in sight. Quite unfortunate.
It is.
On page 6, IBC's 33 billion budget hole for 2027 polls. Initially, they had requested 63 billion shillings.
Yeah.
They now want an extra 33 to be 74. I attended this committee, the Judicial and Legal Affairs Committee. It's headed by George Murugara. We have members like Ochanda Molo, John Makali. They were actually there. Only the chairman was not, the chairman of the IBC was not there. And they actually itemized the things. And they were actually questioned. Some of these things appear like you're duplicating them. They said no. Like, for instance, the diaspora voters. They say they've been having polling centers in the embassies. And so they want to map out and ensure that if you're not able to come to the embassy, they can reach you to wherever you are.
Digital voting, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
And also remember that they had 45,000 KEMS kits. Those KEMS kits, some of them have run obsolete.
Obsolete, that's what they're saying, yes. So they need
in as much as they have run obsolete, they know the exact number. But in their budget request, they want to replace all of them. What about the working ones?
You know what? They don't. That's why they say the thing is budgeted from the beginning. They know very well the ones that are not functioning and that are obsolete for whatever reason. But then you also have to now start asking questions about why use a system that after a certain period of time then will be obsolete. That people have moved beyond those things, my goodness. And then you want to start asking things about digital voting and things like that. That if you don't need to depend on the expensive traditional, perhaps you need to go towards the more affordable, modern way of doing things. And that there are options for people to then be able to follow in terms of systems.
And remember, they also want Uchaguzi Center.
Yes, they do.
1.5 billion shillings.
Atuna pesa. Sorry,
Uchaguzi
IBC.
Center. Uchaguzi Center. No, they want to leave anniversary towers. I don't know if it's because of the location. Is it because of...
It's small, they say, and that people can just walk in anytime they don't want.
Anniversary towers or bombers, where they normally...
There's no bombers.
Oh. But they're constructing something more modern.
Something else, but we can use
that one.
You think it's for NTC? That bombers that they're...
We can use that one.
Bombers 2.0 is not for you guys. It's for people to come and
but IBC can still use anniversary towers. And then, during the election time, bombers is more secure.
Where Ochanda kuna bombers bana.
Okay, sawa.
And it's already 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock.
Inaitwa TNT? Okay, sawa.
Bye.
Bye.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
The news wire. I'm Sheila Tembor. President William Ruto has called on African countries to harness their own resources to drive development and reduce dependence on foreign aid. Speaking at the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, President Ruto cited Kenya's affordable housing program as an example of a project being implemented using local resources and expertise.
Over the last 3.5 years, we have mobilized nearly $4 billion locally for our affordable housing program. Through innovative domestic financing mechanisms, we are investing in housing, creating jobs, supporting enterprise, and expanding home ownership while restoring dignity to millions of Kenyan citizens. This experience demonstrates a fundamental truth. Africa can generate substantial development resources internally when institutions are strong, policies are credible and predictable, markets are trusted, and citizens themselves become active participants in nation building.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron said France is ready to invest in various sectors across Africa, but urged African countries to unite and speak with one voice. Macron emphasized that France's focus is on investment partnerships rather than aid to the continent.
That if we want to be beside you, it means that we have equal representation, better representation for Africa in international instances such as the UN, the financial institutions, and we want it represented in the Security Council of the UN. As we have also been fighting for for Africa to have a permanent seat at the G20. We've been fighting for this for years, and we've now made it a reality. What I'm offering is not to offer assistance. Those days are behind us. Africa will no longer be seen as a place for rare earths and other resources to be extracted, but rather to be a partner.
DCP leader Gachagua has claimed that French President Emmanuel Macron is in the country to discuss 7 billion shillings allegedly owed to French companies following the cancellation of a road construction contract. Gachagua says the firms had been awarded a 159 billion shillings tender during the administration of former President Uhuru Kenyatta to reconstruct the Rironi-Mau Summit Road, but the contract was later cancelled by President William Ruto and awarded to Chinese companies. He alleges that the companies are now seeking compensation, accusing President Macron of using the Africa Forward Summit to mislead Kenyans.
Mr. Macron, your French firms had a contract of 150 billion for a bigger scope. The Chinese firm CRBC firm takes it to 200 billion on a smaller scope, creating a 50 billion fund for corruption by William Ruto and the Chinese contractors. But your biggest interest and the reason why your French firms accepted cancellation of the Mau Summit was to get 7 billion shillings without doing anything at all. Mr. Macron, you are an accomplice in the 7 billion Kenya shillings theft from the people of Kenya. That is the money you have actually come to negotiate in Nairobi, not the summit that you are attending.
With just hours to the Emurua Dikir parliamentary by-elections, preparations have been finalized with the IEBC assuring residents of a free and fair exercise. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan says security has been heightened across the constituency to ensure peaceful polls. Speaking after chairing a multi-agency security meeting at the Emurua Dikir Deputy County Commissioner's Chief Office, Hassan said security agencies are working closely with the IBC to guarantee a smooth selection process.
Ninawasihi wananchi wote wapige kura kwa amani na wasiwe na wasiwasi kwa sababu security yao na security ya uchaguzi iko kamili. And we shall be very ruthless with anyone who will attempt in any way to interfere with the elections. Security agents are under very firm instructions to deal with any deviation.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
SpiceFM, Nakuru. Traffic.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now, you abandon, of course, the narrative of Wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they're just promised, they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did Parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na endi walilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and they say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them they're already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you on this 13th of May. It's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock. And this is the Situation Room. Allan, Ochanda and Nduh with you this morning as we get into conversations. And we're taking off from where the continent left yesterday, or at least certain members of the continent, certain countries represented by their presidents in the Africa Forward Summit. And we're going to be scrutinizing, we're going to be looking at some of the things that came out as a result of that, because some of the language that was spoken leaned really heavily on economies of nations. We're talking about fiscal support. We were talking about then financing, global financing. President William Ruto very clear in his message that global financing then needed to take on now a position where it was fair. So there were a lot of things that came out. There are many deals that were inked, and possibly what we'll see as a result of that. We're going to go into all of that today. And to help us to do that this morning is the economist, Professor X. Iraqi. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
We should be talking French.
We should be.
Comment ça va?
Comment ça va?
Those are the French that I know.
I was about to go a little bit further, but now that you've given us that caveat, we will stick with that maintenant. Our voyage at some point, our raison d'être at some point, is to then be able to figure out what XN stands for.
Many have tried.
Many have tried and many have failed.
And you will fail.
Both feet. I see you smile.
Yes, because I am conversant with a popular proverb around, and the proverb says, if I can remember very well, silent rivers run deep. So if you don't know how deep a river is, please don't test it with both legs, because chances of being carried away are very high. So the Swatini proverb is very relevant. Before you take a very dangerous gamble, before you invest a lot of money, you take any serious decision, test it.
Test it first.
the message we are being given. I've not been to Eswatini, but I've been very close there, into the kingdom of Zululand. And I was very surprised that when it comes to marriage, the Zulu royalties prefer to marry from not Zulu themselves, but they go to either Lesotho or Eswatini.
Interesting.
I think they understand genetics very well. But don't ask me what I was doing in the Zulu kingdom.
That is why you are the economist, and we will leave it at
another day.
For another day. So the Africa Forward Summit took place over the last couple of days, and that came to an end yesterday with a thrilling remark from the President of Kenya, President William Ruto, who insisted yet again about how there needed to be fair play when it came to global financing, and how Africa is not asking for a seat at the table anymore, but that is at the table and making the rules. Okay, sounds great. But then let's look at some of the agreements that were made during this summit and whether they actually look in the proper direction. A lot of people are talking about the thought that Africa's nations rather need to be economy facing, and if they're not economy building facing, then we are wasting time. The Nairobi commuter rail upgrade, about 12.5 billion shillings. There's some of the major agreements that investment deals signed between William Ruto and Emmanuel Macron during Macron's visit to Kenya and the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi over the last couple of days. 12.5 billion shillings for rehabilitation and modernization of the Nairobi commuter rail lines, linking areas such as Syokimau, Embakasi, Roiro, Kikuyu, and the Ruta Ngong corridor. $800 million, that's about 904 billion shillings. Port Logistics and Infrastructure, JV, partnership involving logistics and cargo infrastructure connected to the port of Mombasa. French shipping giant CMA CGM announced plans to renovate terminals at the port of Mombasa, with investments reportedly reaching 700 million euro. Energy and climate, the Kipeto wind farm expansion, additional 100 megawatts wind power expansion worth around $250 million. National Electricity Control Center agreement for construction of a new electricity control center aimed at improving grid reliability. We keep going on and on. XN, Masinga Dam rehabilitation, nuclear cooperation, which Ochanda is very excited about, sustainable aviation fuel, digital and technology, agriculture and trade, 5.6 billion shilling engineering and science complex at the University of Nairobi, plus technical equipment support for 4 Kenyan universities, health and blue economy, broader investment commitments to the tune of 1 billion euro in Kenya-focused investments. All of these were inked. I mean, it goes into the detail, but you get the main picture, and I'm sure you looked into some of these. The very simple question, when we're talking about nations needing to be economy facing, these are good things, are they not?
I think they are good things, but it depends on who you are.
Okay.
If you look at the list, it's quite long.
Very long. This is what I've done is not even scratch the surface.
Yes. In fact, we can spend the next 30 minutes just looking at the list itself.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good statement that we should be economy facing. Because when KK or Kenya Kwanza government came to power, that was our dream, that we should put politics at the back and economics at the front. But that has not really happened. The question should be, and maybe the first question in our discussion should be, what would China or the UK or the US and other big economic powers say about this investment program? Because French are not in Kenya alone. A lot of other people are here.
Yes.
The Chinese have been here, big with the SGR, with the expressway, with the port of Ramu, and very many other projects. So I think French have come to compete with other people who are deeply entrenched here. And I would like to know their reaction. But if you look at all these projects, if they are implemented, I think would have an effect. But the big question I should be asking is, we know yesterday and the day before yesterday, the 2-day summit, we know there are some people who benefited.
Yes.
If you own a Uber transport company, if you own a hotel, they really did very well because of the demand for those services. So there are benefits in the short run. So the big question should be asking is, if all these projects are implemented, who will benefit in the long run? And the question should be the common mwananchi. That should be the starting point. If we implement all these projects, port logistics, energy control center, AI, agriculture, UN, new building, and blue economy. How would the ordinary Kenyan benefit? Because I've been interacting with other countries that have been investing here. The ones I've mentioned, the US, UAE, Turkey, China, and so on. But has the ordinary Kenyan felt that? So the best test of this summit, whether it was successful or not, is to find out if Wanjiku, as we try to use it, is the word we use all the time, is to find out if Wanjiku will feel it. If I go to Kakamega, if I go to Shamahoho, if I go to Meru, if I go to Machakos, 1 or 2 years from now, and they start saying, I think there are more jobs for us. I think our agricultural products have a market. As before I came here, I was sitting outside here, and I remember seeing on one of the WhatsApp groups, somebody from Bonanga sent a message. In fact, it was an SOS message. And he was saying, I have 3 tons of avocados that I need to take to the market. 3 tons of avocados I need to go to the market. So the test of pudding is eating. And let's see how ordinary Kenyans are going to benefit from this summit. That's my take.
Off the top of your head, do you see from this how ordinary Kenyans will benefit as a result of this summit?
Maybe in the long run.
Okay.
Maybe in the long run, but not the short run. Because when you talk about port logistics, we know ports need to be efficient. So if they're efficient, then we expect the cost of goods and services to go down. Because it will take less time to come, it will be faster, and we need to see that reflected in the prices. Because one of the big costs of goods and services is transport. So we hope we are going to see that. Now, when you talk about energy control center, we expect to have less blackouts. I've been suffering from blackouts in the last 1 month. I hope there will be less of that. When you talk of nuclear energy, I hope the price of energy is going to go down because the supply will go up. Because we have an interesting energy market in Kenya where more energy is supplied, but the price does not go down because of, people like independent power producers and so on. Agriculture is the mainstay of this economy. So will Kenyan farmers have bigger markets in France or European Union? So that if I have potatoes, if I have avocados, if I have tea, if I have coffee, I have a market for it. Now, my biggest concern is I was looking at the trade between Kenya and France. And I was finding out what do we export there. It's raw materials, coffee, tea, cut flowers, spices. But when you check what we import from France, it is
finished products.
Perfumes, chemicals, machinery, wine, and such things. So if this, are we going to have this imbalance corrected? So my answer is, in the long run, if this is implemented, we want the ordinary Kenyans to feel it. Maybe not people like me and you.
Prof, if I could jump in before you get deep into the discussion. Is this between President Ruto and President Macron, or is it between France and Kenya and Africa by extension? And then, we had this discussion yesterday, and there's no harm in repeating this question. Governments exist in perpetuity and for posterity. What guarantee do we have? Remember that Macron is leaving office next year, 2027. President Ruto is seeking re-election next year. And it's not cast on stone that he will be re-elected. Of course, he might be re-elected. Remember that when President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2020 inked some deal with the French to construct the Rironimau summit at a cost of 150 billion to 200 billion. It never materialized because the President Ruto's administration cancelled that deal. We incurred some costs to avoid some litigation in London. What guarantee do you have that these several deals inked will actually materialize, will actually see the light of day?
I saw that coming. In fact, one of the things I was very eager in this summit, which I didn't come out, I didn't get it, is the French reaction to the cancellation of that project. It was a big project. And I thought that finally, when we talk of big projects, the French had the foot on the door, but it was cancelled. And maybe one of the things I would wanted to know is if I overheard, maybe without them knowing, President Ruto and President Macron discussing about our projects, I would really have wanted to know what they discussed. Back to your question. I think this is the biggest problem that we have in this country, that our economics is tied to political cycles. So I have my 5 years as president, my 5 years as an MP, my 5 years as a women rep. All my projects are tied to 5 years. So when I leave, the person who replaces me starts afresh. And that was a bit about Kibaki's Vision 2030. It was trying to transcend presidencies, elections, and so on. So the question is whether we are guaranteed these projects will continue. My hope is that they will. That the next president, the next whoever is going to be in France or in Kenya is going to carry these projects around. But it's a big if, because every president who comes has his own or her own projects. I'm using her because we still haven't had a female president in Kenya, and I think I would like us to have one just to see the difference after 60 years. So there's no guarantee this one will go up to the end, but we hope they can, because they look from the paper, they look very good projects, and they would benefit majority of Kenyans. Again, we hope that they will be carried through.
Is it between President Ruto and President Macron in an individual capacity? Because remember that President Macron is looking for credibility in Europe. President William Ruto appears to be arrived at the political scene and, of course, the global scene, the global stage with a lot of gusto. And he appears to be resetting the configuration of the African setup. Is it between the two individuals or between the two countries and the continent by extension?
If you remember when President Ruto got into power, he tried to front his credentials up as a Pan-Africanist. And I think I would see this conference in the same perspective, that he still believes that he has Pan-African credentials. So both Macron and President Ruto had a chance to showcase their global reach, their global network. And that's why you kept on hearing that presidents are coming, that presidents are coming. So for the purpose of politics, I think it was good for President Ruto, because he is telling Kenyans, my Pan-African credentials are still there. I'm not alone. I'm not isolated. Because after 2024 protests, there was a backlash against Kenya. So he is trying to build new bridges. Now for President Macron, I think he's the greatest beneficiary, because France has not been having very good image in West Africa. They are withdrawing from a lot of countries or being chased away, whichever way you look at it. So to get a new footing in an English-speaking country, that was a coup for Macron. So for Macron, I would say he was a beneficiary because of that. And that's why I was asking earlier, what would France or China, not France, but what would UK or China say about this? Because it was unusual to have a French Francophone conference in an English-speaking country. Now I also see it in a different perspective. For a long time, Rwanda was the linchpin of French influence in this country, because they speak French and Burundi. But now, if you go to Rwanda for a conference, you speak in English. So maybe the French are realizing that Kenya could be another starting point. Remember, French also have a lot of interest in the Indian Ocean, Comoros, and places like Madagascar. So Kenya would be a very good bridge between the East and West. But to cut the story short, I think the conference, if you look at the list you have put here, the summit, the list you have put here about the projects that would be implemented, I would say it is between Kenya and France. But if you look at it from a political angle, it was between President Ruto and President Macron.
Right.
And both of them, I'm sure they have something to gain from there. Remember, by bringing all those presidents here, President Macron had a chance to reach out to them. You know, I don't know whether you are married, but the best way to get somebody to marry you and to get closer to you would be to take that person out. Maybe in a cafe or for a trip to Mombasa or somewhere else. The conversation changes. So when you get this West African president and bring them to Kenya, I'm sure the conversation would be very different if the conversation was taking place in West Africa. And I think that was the coup that I'm saying President Macron had on those presidents. I'm sure they talked a different language in Kenya as compared to when they were in West Africa elsewhere.
And the French can talk a good game when they take you out, that's for sure.
Yes. I have not been a victim of them, but I know they are good enough.
Okay, so there's one thing that we look specifically at here, which is basically the talk of the town at the moment with all of this, that it just so happens that a cancelled project for the Mau Summit Rironi road that is currently under construction in Kenya under a different partnership, a different project, was cancelled. And now 7 billion shillings is actually being paid to the French for the cancellation of the contract. That same project is now being spent on in Kenya at the moment. I am trying to link this to the economy. oftentimes we say, well, the economy is growing, and we see it growing at a macro level, and we say that inflation is down and that we've grown by, certain number of percentage points. Most of us don't even know what those things mean. At the end of the day, the economy is growing. If I have a shilling in my pocket and I've had a meal, that's when I know that the economy works, isn't it?
Or if I've saved some money, most important.
Right. How do you translate that which we see in these mega projects? This major highway is being built, for example, 7 billion shillings down the potty because, for whatever reason, somebody decided to cancel the contract. How do all of these things actually affect me? When we talk about that project, for example, as one of the ones that takes on this big chunk of change.
That's a very hard question, but let's start from the beginning. Paying somebody 7 billion for cancelling a project. I think I would like to become a contractor to be getting free money for doing nothing. Can you imagine being paid 7 billion for doing nothing? But that's the nature of contracts, that there is a lot of money tied in the contract itself, that if you do this is what will happen. So I think Kenya avoided being dragged into deeper legal issues by just paying that. But you can see the French are also recovering because they are bringing more money, 12.5 billion in making the commuter rail. What I suspect is that behind the scenes there was some negotiation that you cancelled this, but you can't give us this. But I still don't understand why that project was cancelled. To me, that was quite surprising.
Yeah.
Particularly knowing that it was, particularly if you consider the amount that was involved. Because if you consider the importance of that project. But one suspicion is that it is who signed it. It was a different president.
Yes.
A new president wanted to be associated with
legacy project.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a way to look at it. Now back to your hard question. I was actually looking for time to think
about
it. Because it's a question everybody has been asking me, including my relatives, my friends, that if the economy is growing, why am I not feeling it?
Yeah.
So there's a time I passed around Girugin. I was going to Naivasha, and I found some young girls and boys, young men and women selling yogurt on the side of the road. And they told me that there used to be more money during Kanu era than now. And that was surprising to me. So I asked them, what do you mean? They told me, around that time, there was always some money, people buying yogurt from us and so on. They told me now we don't have. In fact, they have been removed from that place. So when you have big projects, like SGR, highways, superhighways, and so on. The economic expectation is that when you build this road, there are two ways people invest. In the short run, you employ people. People who build the roads, people who supply those products, and so on. So the economy is stimulated by these big projects. That's what John Maynard Keynes talked about almost 100 years ago, the stimulation effect of the government expenditure. So when you have such projects, people benefit immediately. But we hope that in the long run, more people will benefit. Because if you're an investor, it becomes easier for you to transport your goods and services.
Yeah.
If you're a farmer, if you are not doing any business, are the people around that road thinking of what they will transport? Because a road can be there, but if you have nothing to transport or
you're not going to use it.
It doesn't benefit you.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that as we have these projects, the government is also looking at the multiplier effect. That this road is built. What are you going to do as a farmer? What are you going to do as a constructor? What are you going to do as an importer? So that at the end of the day, we all benefit from that.
Right.
But the question is convincing politicians and convincing people like you and me that we shall benefit in the long run when the economy say we shall all be dead.
What would it take then? Because, these, as we say from this list, these are fantastic projects. They're great things. Who wouldn't want their blue economy to survive or thrive, rather? Who wouldn't want health, commuter rail? Who wouldn't want things like, great digital hub at the University of Nairobi? Who wouldn't want that? But it's like going for plastic surgery when you need a triple bypass. That's what it sounds like to me.
See, my biggest concern is these projects are between France and Kenya. And they are imposed from bottom up. Because that's why it was a summit. The question is, if you ask Kenyans in the counties, what would they have wanted?
Right.
And that's the great disconnect between what politicians at the top want, what French want, and what people on the ground want. And they want what you have said. They want money in their pocket. And whether this project will be successful or not, Whether the Mau Summit Road or SGR will be successful depends on whether people will have money in their pockets. Because most Kenyans were not even following this summit. Mm-hmm. They don't know what was the discussion, but at the end of the day, they will be asking, can I get some money? Will I be able to pay my school fees? Will I be able to pay my medical services? So that connection is what we need. That what people at the top think and what people at the bottom think, there's some convergence. And they see the benefits. And the other question you should be asking is, are we changing the economic environment so that I am able now to see the use of SGR, the use of that expressway, so that I'm a farmer, I become a better farmer. So if I'm working in a mining industry, I'm also mining better. If I'm a student, I realize now I need to work harder because when I finish school, there will be some work for me.
Right.
So we need to see, people need to see the future. And again, that's why I was talking about Vision 2030. That any big project we come up with should be part of a bigger picture, like Vision 2030 and so on. It will not be interpreted by politicians.
Maybe, Prof, looking at it broadly, the heads of state now imploring President Macron and pushing for easy access to credit. Are we about to see a total shift in terms of economic dealing with remember that China has made great inroads in some countries in Africa. We've seen USA, we've seen our president saying that he's not looking east or west, but he must be looking somewhere. Are we about to see some total shift in terms of economic dealing?
Let's start with something you have mentioned that is very important, that these countries want easy access to credit so that you can get cheaper interest rates if you get a loan from China, from France, or wherever you get it. I think that is very important for countries because most countries run a deficit, so they're always borrowing money. But even before we go to that, we need to find out or to ask, are we getting easy credit as citizens of this country? Because one of the biggest innovations, or one of the biggest observations we made when Kibaki came to power, and people can contest that economically he did quite well, was easy access to credit. And that's why the economy did very well. If you have a project, you wanted money, it was very easy to get. That's when we found people hawking loans on the streets of Nairobi. So let's not just think about governments getting access to credit, but also individuals like you and me. When I looked at 2026 economic survey, one of the things that surprised me is the liquidity of the banks. They have a lot of money that they are not borrowing or they are not lending because people don't feel that they are confident enough to borrow money and they invest. So on the architecture of economics, I think there has been a big shift since there has been a big push since President Ruto came to power for a new global financial architecture.
Yes.
Because he says that it is skewed against Africa, which is true because if you look at the reserve currency, if you look at who borrows and who is rent, if you look at who pays interest rates, it's normally the less developed countries. But remember the global architecture that we have today, financial architecture, have been there since World War II, end of World War II. The Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, and so on. So the only way to reduce the effect or the power of that architecture is to come up with a counterweight. So like now the US has a counterweight, which is China. Because as the president says, he's neither facing east or facing west because he has a choice.
He has a choice.
There was a time there was no choice. You could either face one or the other.
Right.
So if we have to reduce the effect of these global economic players, World Bank, IMF, US, and the rest, we need to counterweight. But if I ask you, what is a counterweight to IMF? What is a counterweight to World Bank? What's a counterweight to all these big institutions? So unless they have a counterweight, their power will continue. So I think President Ruto has a good dream that we need a more playing field in a global financial architecture, but so far we don't have any counterweight to the big players. And we hope, people have been talking about BRIC and so on, but so far we still have the dollar, the euro as the key reserve currencies, not the yuan or the dirham and the rest, not yet. The question is, who is going to bail the cat?
Indeed.
Is it President Ruto?
Who is it President Ruto? Because the way he talks, it's like he's actually the new entrant. He's fairly new because you can see Museveni have been here for 40 years. We've seen Kagame, he's now doing more than 20 years. We've seen all the other presidents. Samia, the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, is new, but she's a a bit reserved. She's not really going out. But President William Ruto is sort of really going by the bull's horns.
Since he became the president.
He became the president, and not more than 2 months after that, he held the first climate summit in Nairobi and started having this conversation about the global financing architecture and was insistent on some of these things.
So it has been consistent.
He has been consistent there.
And you even remember he was so critical of the conglomeration of countries being hosted, African countries being hosted by one European country. He was saying, come to Africa. Macron is the first to come.
That's why I said it was from optics and everything. This was a good move.
It was strategic.
But remember, we have been hosted by Japan, by Korea, by Russia, by US. We're always being hosted by somebody else. And that's a part of the architecture he's talking about, that other people define our economic and political trajectory. Maybe the time we did that. But I think for us to be successful, we need maybe some counterweights.
Yes.
And I have two big questions, Prof. We'll park so we'll start with one, and then you must remind me. I must ask the heavyweight question after that. Maybe a counterweight is actually dealing with the economy of particular nations. We've seen that Ndaitwa in Namibia has done it. Over the last couple of months, they have been now declared debt-free. They have no external debt. They've paid it up. So they're at a position whereby nobody is dangling any kind of carrot. Burkina Faso is well on its way to doing the same thing, and it's not even their president. It's an interim administration under Traoré. That's one thing we often forget. He's not even an elected president. But it's shown that some things can be done. So whereby we're saying that the game must be played when the direction in which you're looking at in terms of development aid and assistance is the measure. Could there be a third entrant into this game where it's saying, how about you are then looking insular, fixing your fiscal issues, paying off your debt, and then remaining reliant? Could that be an entrant in this game?
But we have been there.
Who?
Us. If you remember, during Kibaki era, we had forgotten about IMF, if you remember. In fact, about 95% of our budget was from us. Tax went up and so on. So we have been there before, and we can do that. So what was the big problem in Africa is that anytime we think of any big reform, economic or politically, we always look outside. We don't look inside. So, for example, if we dealt with corruption in this country mercilessly and without favoritism, I'm sure by the end of this year, we should not need any money from IMF or from World Bank. There's a lot of money that is wasted on nepotism and so on. So before we even, charity starts at home.
It does.
Before we think about France and others who are going to help us, can we do that ourselves? So I agree with you, there's a third way, and that way is standing inside, prospecting yourself, finding out where things are going wrong, and correcting them. So if a company is having a problem, the starting point should not be blaming the customers and competitors. It is an introspection. What can we change inside this company before we look outside? And that's what the African countries have failed. So if you look at those 30 African countries that came for this summit and you analyze their economy, I'm sure you'll find something that they can improve immediately without talking to France, without talking to China, without talking to everybody. But we are very unwilling to reform inside because of vested interest. Because if we reformed, some people would lose their influence. Some companies would go bankrupt and so on. So I totally agree with you that before we think of what others can do, let's see what we can do for ourselves. Namibia, Burkina Faso and others, and I've given you an example of during Kibaki era when IMF was becoming relevant.
And it was possible.
We can do it.
And even those that we looked, and that's the other question here, is that during this summit, very few of us, and maybe there were those who did and were silent, actually looked at this person who's coming to offer you their hand in marriage. In my village, we normally say the person who comes to say they want to marry you, they say, thank you very much, you have come. So what they do before you actually come for the visit is that they send emissaries to your village to find out if there's poverty in your house, if there's madness, if there's something wrong with you people. So which emissaries were actually looking at France's problem? That France is is the second largest economy in Europe, but is suffering from a heavy tax issue. Their economy has been tanking over the last 10 years. There is there's lack of investor confidence. There's of course a political gridlock where M. Le Pen wanted to come in and change things, essentially. There's a cry for renewed nationalism, whereby, Macron is trying to leave a legacy where he's saying, we've actually made this come true with a lot of other countries in the world. There are protests on the streets of Paris every day about things like how much money they're spending on pensions and welfare and things like this. The economy has not grown significantly for the last 6 years. That's the country that we're talking about here, who might also be in a spot of trouble, who's coming to offer a hand of help. Does it matter that they may be going through a bit of a pickle, but are offering up a hand of help here?
That's an interesting question, because one of the best ways to solve economic crisis as a politician is to deflect them.
Okay.
I remember during Moi era, there would be a crisis, and somebody would blame a neighboring country and so on. We still do that always. So sometimes externalizing a problem becomes a solution, which is not a very good solution.
Okay.
So I can assure you that if you look at the way the summit was framed, nobody had time to ask those questions. I can tell you that. And for some reasons, we don't pay a lot of attention on France. One, because of language, and then because there's more focus on China, more focus on the US, and nowadays the Arabian countries, UAE and so on. So nobody focuses about that. And you are right that both President Macron and President Ruto are in a very similar situation, that we have internal problems, and France and in Kenya. So if you can externalize that, that would probably deflect a lot of pressure from the country. So for President Macron, that was headlines in France, possibly. That was the headline in Kenya. But we forgot about other things. Right. But you can be sure after 1 week, all those things will be back. That's why I agree with you that we should not shy away from the reality. And the reality is France has its own economic problems, Kenya has its own economic problems. And somebody must bear the cut. So if you look at the Kenyan situation, I was looking at the economic survey of 2026, and I saw the economy declining from about 4 point something. There was a decline of about 1%. That was significant, because if you look at the way things are, we would expect the economy to be growing.
Right.
So whether you are President Macron or President Ruto, I think the most important thing is you face the economic reality. Trading with other countries, having good summit is good, but I hope that at the end of it, it to not just be about politics, about good headlines, but about making sure that the citizens of France, the citizens of Kenya benefit from these deals. Because at the end of the day, everybody want to pay rent, everybody want to pay school fees, everybody want to eat. At the end of the day, it's about the economic reality.
Maybe, Prof, Macron is coming in very huge, but he's a bit wise, because he appears to be mainstreaming his cooperation with not just Kenya but East Africa. He now wants to partner with the East African Development Bank. And these might go a long way, because remember that in this particular part of the continent, even regional blocks like East African Community, we've had claims that some countries do not even remit their contribution to such blocks. We also even saw the other day nominated MPs like the East African Legislative Assembly, IALA, people like David Sankok. They were complaining they are not being paid on time because of the remissions. Will this cooperation and mainstreaming of Macron and France into the East African Development Bank maybe reawaken this particular bloc, and also reawaken superpowers like Britain to see, yes, there's another entrant in that bloc that we had a footing since colonial era?
That's an interesting observation, because one of my thinking, and I mentioned that area, was France getting into Kenya through all these projects would be an entry point to the rest of East Africa, because Kenya is very influential.
Yes.
So if you can get to Kenya, you can get to the rest of East Africa. Some of these projects can then be scaled up into the rest of East Africa or the East African region. But as to what is happening to East African community, that has been a major concern to me. In fact, it's interesting, we are talking about summit with France, we are talking about China. In fact, we talk about China, we talk about US, we talk about UAE, more than East African community.
More than East Africa.
So, and it's unfortunate because to me, I thought that was a starting point in our quest to become an economic bloc and develop the economy. Charity starts at home. Yes. So President Macron can see that these institutions are not very strong. So if they're not very strong, I can take advantage of them and go and build them in the image of France in a way that France is going to benefit.
Dictate the terms.
Remember that at the end of the day, France and other countries, China, UAE and so on, have their strategic interests. Let's not always assume that they come here because they love us so much. No, they have their strategic interests. So when you see for the French president coming from France to Kenya, coming on the platform and telling us to keep quiet and listen and so on, I'm sure it's not because of just politics. I think he has some interest at heart. And if we don't take care of our strategic interests, somebody will take care of their own. So we need to strengthen our institutions. You can see how China has been trying to make use of African Union.
True.
Very well, even building their headquarters. Not because they love us so much, but they have their interest, they will go through that. The same way, I'm sure, I don't know again whether you are married. If you are, did you a serious man?
This is the second time.
Yeah, I know. I know you probably built your mother-in-law a very good house. Is that true? If you can? Is it because you love her so much? It's because, you know, if you build your mother-in-law a very good house and so on, you have a lot of peace at home. So that's exactly what French, the Japanese and the rest are doing in Africa. They're building a house for their mother-in-law because they know.
Prof, you're dispensing wisdom this morning. Apart from
has anybody contested my wisdom?
No, not really.
Economics is not tied to wisdom, but they are compatible.
They are compatible. Yes. They're intertwined.
Yeah. Yes. It's interesting that these conversations are being had, whereby there is a call for nations to be economy-facing, and Kenya at the moment has just recently released its Finance Bill 2026, and that we can tie some of these things together. We know that the National Treasury is not just the CS's office, whereby, you know, announcements of payments are going to be made every Tuesday, Thursday, whatever, but that there's a whole battalion of folks who are sitting, and the phrase I like to use, crunching the numbers in terms of what it should be. These are folks who are worth their salt, made up of economists, made up of statisticians, made up of policy, folks. They wouldn't normally know their numbers. But it seems that with every finance bill, which we were told yesterday is not necessary for you to have every year, is that it is not economy facing. Now, when we look at these big projects that the government is getting into, be they PPPs, be they be bilaterals between one country and another, like France, for example, what would it take for you to have a truly economy-facing budget, number one, or a state of things, for these numbers that we see being crunched into a 4.7 trillion shilling budget, for example, for you to really say that we are growing the economy? That we may talk about it every day, but do we really understand what it means? What would the numbers that are crunched in Treasury from the 30th of August until the 30th of April actually mean for you to now say, this is where we need money, this is where we are going to put it, appropriations, and this is where we are going to get it from?
You're asking a very interesting question. Because one of the biggest inventions in the Kenya constitution was public participation. So when the Treasury, Mandarins and others are making the budget, they always call for public participation. But we participate.
Or do they take the participation into consideration?
So I am from the University of Nairobi, and I don't think I've had a discussion with the Treasury when they're making the business. They have not called my faculty and said, this is our budget, what is your comments? Okay. They assume that we are going to participate. So because Kenyans don't participate in budget making and in other political processes, the other people make the budget for them. And one of the outcome of that is we lose sense of reality. That's why you find people demonstrating on the street and say, how did you put this tax here? How did you put this and this? So unless we start participating as voters, as citizens of this country, in budgeting process, in constitutional process, in political process, wrong decisions will always be made. Because remember, politicians have their vested interest. Like now, you're the politics. Build 2027, build 2032. If we can transcend politics, then we can now say we are economy facing. But I've always insisted we are too much politics facing. Because remember, a politician will not be voted in or out because of tomorrow, to be because of today. So there's very high temptation that I want things that can be seen now. And that is why you find, at the end of the day, politicians like tangible projects, things that we can see.
Yes.
See, if I'm sick or if I've been healed because of going to hospital, nobody knows. If I have a PhD, nobody knows if I walk on the streets of Nairobi. But people will see the roads, the highways, the expressway, the building, and say, this guy is doing very well. So that's why if we stop seeing things through the eyes of politics and see through economic reality, I'm sure we are going to come up with budgets that take care of common mwananchi, take care of everybody, and are intergenerational. But as long as we are braided by politics, we cannot see the reality.
So what would this look like? Because often, I mean, I guess from the point where some of us, if you see, just like you say, I guess a lot of us, we visual representation of something, it's tangible, then we can say, okay, this is now I understand. That folks may be talking economically when they say that today I have to buy a tomato for 20 shillings per tomato. And then somebody could tell you, well, that has nothing to do with the economy. It has everything to do with the fact that tomatoes don't do well in the wet season. Agriculturally, they don't. They do better when the climate is of a drier nature.
But as an economist, I would tell you, why don't you turn it into paste and keep it...
This is what I'm asking. Now we are on because I'm saying, what can you actually do? So if I think about it in the very basic terms, that a good economy is then being able to transcend space and time and season. So then you say that we have put these safeguards in place so that no matter what, then you're able to deal, like you say, even if there is a glut, we can dehydrate our milk. Even if there's scarcity, we would have desiccated our maize so that we can use it later. How then do you say this is what we are going for, so that the person then is able to still have 3 tomatoes for 20 shillings in their pantry, whatever, in their kitchen, because of the fact that you have put safeguards into the system to ensure that no matter what, this thing will thrive. Should that be the direction in which we're going?
In fact, one Nobel laureate, Amartya Sen, is an Indian, noticed something very interesting. Democracies rarely suffer from famine. Have you ever had the US suffering from famine? Does it mean it always rain? Does it mean it always rain in Europe? But have you ever heard them talking about famine? So all you were saying is that through democracies, you're able to put these safeguards so that when you go to parliament, you're able to have checks and balances. When you come up with a budget, you're able to put checks and balances. Because one reason why we do so badly is because those check guards are not put into place. And when they are put into place, because we are not always very ethical, we are not always very, we always don't think about justice, they are removed. And that's why you find a lot of the decisions that are detrimental to the economy being made. And let me give you a good example that nobody is saying. I always talk about economic reality. If you look at one of the reasons why this budget is so heated is because of tax. And why is tax such a big hot issue in this country? Because right from day one, President Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government had told us they want to do away with debt.
Yes.
They want to stop borrowing. So that independence is talking about, that we want now a new global financial architecture, one of the starting point, one of the key planks is making sure that you are independent, you don't go borrowing money. But how do you stop borrowing money? You have to start getting money from taxes. And how do you raise more taxes? You have to make the economy more vibrant, more conducive for investors and consumers. And how do you make that economy very good, very, very suitable for investors and consumers? You have to make sure there's rule of law. You have to make sure that people are confident about tomorrow. You have to make sure that people don't fear their government. You have to make sure that people are confident to spend and invest. And that's why there's that interconnectedness that we are always supposed to see between politics, economics, and the decisions we make as individuals. If we don't see that connection, we shall talk in 2032, 2037, and so on. So economics is not supposed to be that complicated. We complicate it. Because we know that if you do this will happen. We know that. There's nothing complicated about the economy.
It's a simple formula, isn't it? Simple formula.
Simple.
Input this is going to be your output.
Yeah, that is it. But the question is, vested interest make things get complicated. For example, how do we create jobs? It's very simple. Is there a demand for something? So if we start now exporting more tea, more flowers, more sugar cane to France, the farmers will produce more canes. They will make more money. They will be happy. So one of the questions that nobody is asking is, why are we not talking about exporting M-Pesa to France? Why cut flowers? Why are you not importing M-Pesa? Why are you not telling Frenchmen to start using
Why are you not being like Hungary and exporting your knowledge?
That is it.
And expertise.
Yes. The other reason why economy is supposed to do very well is that we don't do enough research to understand what is driving the economy. If I asked you, for example, what drives the economy of Makueni, you will say it is mangoes, but do you have evidence? If I ask you what drives the economy of Narok, you probably say it's people selling cattle, but do you have evidence? So I think the economic models we have are based in the West, not on the reality here. So as maybe the Treasury, the government should probably commission more research so that we understand exactly how our economy operates. So that as we make those decisions, they are based on reality.
So decisions that are being made in the past or even presently, decisions to spend money or decisions on how to appropriate or decisions about all of these things that essentially affect the economy are largely not based on any kind of research and information.
That's my worry. They are based particularly on how politicians feel. And you have seen the very many politicians go and say, we are giving you this project. We are giving you this project. But is it based on some analysis or what is it based on? Are you building this road because you feel the returns will be higher than this one or because you want more votes? So let's base our economic decisions on a reality, not politics. Let's base our taxation on a reality, not politics. If we do that, the economy is going to improve sooner than later. After all, nobody will come and improve this economy. It's not French, it's not Chinese, it's not UAE. It is us. It's our economy. We are the consumers. We are the investors.
Maybe, Prof, have we bombarded Macron and France with a lot of requests? Because here's a situation where we are many deals, more than 200, including climate change related, AI. And even the president was talking about that nuclear plant in Siaya that Nduh says I'm so enthusiastic about. Because that's why, of course, that's the part of the country where I come from. Remember, it was rejected by Kilifi. It's now being accepted in Siaya. The president went ahead saying that these are people with experience that dates back to immediately after Second World War. Have we bombarded them with a lot of requests that are not feasible?
There's a time I went to the countryside. One time, I'll not tell you where.
You say Shamahoho.
And I've been to Shamahoho, I've been to Osieko Beach. All those places you're talking about, I know even where the nuclear plant is going to be put. So when I was there, somebody asked me for some donation. That, by the way, we have a church project. Can you please donate some money to me? So I gave that person some money. I will not give the amount. Then, it was a very big family. Then in the next 5 minutes, 2 other people came to me. They told me, by the way, I also have Arambe. I don't know whether it was true or not. So I think what is happening is that the moment we found that the French can be of help to us, we bombarded them without a request. And because they also have their vested interests, they are probably more accommodating. And that's why I'm concerned whether all these projects will be implemented in the wrong land. I think that also tells you that we have not been having people like President Macron coming to visit us and having such a free conversation. So we realize this president is very kind to us, so let me go all sorts of requests. But before we even make the request to President Macron, we should also introspect and ask, what can we do for ourselves?
There you go.
What we have done for ourselves. So maybe we should be telling President Macron, we have 1 billion for nuclear power. What can you add us? We have this for this project. What can you add us? Not starting from zero.
It starts with
I
you.
think for the last 6 or 7 years, one of the problems we've had with African economy is that we have been victims of land helplessness. But other people can do better than us, not us. And I've asked this question on very many occasions. When we go demanding we want foreign investors, the first implication is there's money. That's why you're calling people to come and invest. So why don't we make that money ourselves?
Right.
Why not other people? I always ask. And there's a lady who passed away recently called Njeri. She was the founder of African Mwananchi Online, the pioneer internet service provider in Kenya. And she asked MBA students in my class that question, and I have never forgotten that. Why do you people invite people to make money? Why can't you make that money yourself? So we should also, before we invite the French, the Chinese, and the rest to come and invest in this country, we should also make it easy for ordinary people like you and me to invest and make that money.
And to make money here.
Whatever Prof is saying is true, because he's saying that at some point when he's in the village and a second person comes and says, by the way, I also have, it means the first one went and told them.
Absolutely.
If it was the Potters, the president of the United States of America coming here, do you think we'll have bombarded him with these requests? That even Mombasa Road will not even be possible for the 3 days he'll be here.
Those are the questions.
Yeah.
The question would be whether he would even be that accessible.
In the first place.
In fact, I would even become more forthright. Would he have told Kenyans to keep quiet?
Oh, that could open up a whole other can of worms, but we just don't have the time for it. Professor Exon-Araki, thank you very much. Those words that you speak, things definitely for us to think about, if not to ignite the flame of thought in our minds. Asante sana for joining us this part of the conversation.
Much. Let's keep talking economics.
Indeed. Good morning at 8:01.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is Daniel Zwaya. I'm Sheila Timbor. The impeachment case involving former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua resumes today, with the court expected to rule on whether cardiologist Dr. Daniel Gikonyo will be cross-examined over allegations linked to the proceedings. The matter stems from an affidavit referring to an alleged phone conversation between President William Ruto and Dr. Gikonyo during the period surrounding Gachagua's impeachment, when the doctor was also treating him. The court's decision is expected to influence the direction of the case, which continues to draw public and political interest. Gachagua is seeking compensation from the state, arguing that his removal from office was unlawful and politically motivated, while his legal team maintains the impeachment process violated constitutional requirements. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is seeking an additional 30 million shillings to continue processing reparations for victims of human rights violations. Appearing before the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, chaired by Tharaka MP George Murugara, Commission Chair Clarice Oganga said the process is still ongoing despite the lapse of a 60-day deadline set in a presidential proclamation in March. She further told the committee that the Commission has been allocated 593 million shillings against a requirement of 976 million shillings, leaving a funding gap of 383 million shillings.
The work on reparations continues because the work that had been allocated those funds was for the 60 days that we have been given this work to do. But our work continues because we continue to receive people coming to register with us and seeking that we verify the processes. So that's why we are seeking for additional resources.
When we came for a supplemental lecture, we are sure of the 30 million, but finally it did not come out from the final version of the supplementary.
And Health CS Adin Duale has accused the National Police Service of delaying the operationalization of a fully equipped referral hospital at Mbagathi. Appearing before the National Assembly Health Committee, Duale said disputes over management and unpaid contractor bills have left the facility idle despite pressure on the health system. Said proposals to have the hospital run by Force Memorial Hospital or Kenyatta National Hospital had failed and called for a final decision on its use. MPs led by Seme MP James Nyikal faulted the delays, saying the facility should be put to use to ease congestion in public hospitals. Duale also warned of a 104.6 billion shillings funding gap in the 2026-2027 health budget, saying key services and universal health coverage could be affected without additional allocations. And that's the news wire. I'm Sheila Timbur.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing policy of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
in politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
Because this is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
I'm already laughing because
today than before.
Asante Sana, good morning.
Good morning to you.
It's 8 minutes after 8 o'clock and Jeremiah Kioni has already started with me. Even before I can tell people that you're here. We're continuing with conversations this morning if you're just tuning in on our different platforms, audience on KTN Karibu Sana. And we continue with the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party. Jeremiah Kioni is here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You're well?
Yet, tunashukuru Mungu. Thank God we are alive and kicking.
Fantastic.
And we have not had an opportunity to visit any hospital.
It's good.
Tunashukuru Mungu.
There's a lady called Njeri. She has told me now the true meaning of your name. Yeah.
Kioni. Hey.
Kioni.
Yes. Kioni. Njeri is telling you
there are those people who Kioni means one who can see. See far.
So you're a seer. Political seer. Not political seer, but somebody who sees.
Okay.
But you never know. It is a name that I found being used in the family. So there must have been somebody who was credited with that ability to tell people things that were going to happen before they happen.
All right.
So, names had a reason and a purpose and a meaning. Hiyo masiku ya zamani, lakini wengine wetu tumekuja kuokota wengine majina tu na kuitwa kama wao.
I agree that names should have should bear meaning. They should.
Yes.
One day I'll tell you mine and the full meaning. But for now, let's go.
Utadu. Ochanda in Luo means kusumbua.
The prince who sumbua.
Kusumbua. Na wewe ulisumbua mimi kwa maidi kwa interview juzi.
Kwa interview juzi alikusumbua.
Nilimsumbua akasema ni fitina. Sema hiyo ni fitina.
Today we go to the people of Eswatini. As you know, in the southern part of the continent, surrounded by South Africa. Interesting proverb. I'd love to get what you think about this. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we have a responsibility of getting Ruto out of power.
I knew.
Yes. And it is not just a walk in the park. It's lazima tufanye kazi. Yeah.
Lakini hii tunaingia na miguu yote. This will jump with both legs.
Feet. Okay. In this case, it's not foolish, is what you're saying. All right.
He would jump in. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Wakenya wameamua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the Eswatini say, and it's interesting that you can now take that to a different kind of meaning.
Yeah, I think it means, that it's always wise to ensure that you have a fallback position or you have a way of getting out of a scenario if it is not helping. Yes.
If it's troublesome.
It becomes troublesome. Anything you're trying, there must be a way out.
True. Okay.
Even if it's not politics. Yeah.
People have been saying many things, and politics is perception to a large extent. Doesn't matter where you practice your pedigree of politics. That to a certain extent it is perception.
Yes.
Have you, Jeremiah, in the recent past, with things that you have been saying or positions that you have been taking, giving direction to the party to the Jubilee Party in terms of how it must operate, be more bullish, come out and state the position, be very clear about whether you're going to join a united opposition or not? Have you been saying this by the words that you've been speaking and saying, be like others or just be Jubilee?
One of the things that is clear is that, or one of the things that I would want to state is that when you are the SG, there is some amount of gagging that comes with it that is provided for by the constitution of parties. Because you are unagojea kwa mkutano ndio useme kwa hii mkutano tulisema. But when you're not the SG, you also have an eye view. And perhaps able to say a few more things. One of the things I believe about Jubilee is that Jubilee has been there, led this country for 10 years, was there at the beginning of the opposition 2022. We have shaped the narrative since 2022. You may remember me moving around with Tinga wearing sufuria.
Yes.
And the only other person who was quite willing to carry the sufuria so out publicly was Sifuna. We were out there being tear-gassed, shot at. We then moved and did Remuru 3 with Martha Wangari Karua, the then NAC, now PLP. And we formed something else that was bad mouth that we were calling Kamwene.
Yes.
All these movements were not idle movements. No, it is we were trying to call out people and telling them Nikubaya. And the direction we are taking, it is not good. And don't wait for too long. Things might get to a point of no return. So we had, these are things that we saw, we claimed early enough, and we were called all names, including I was called Mogoroki, what.
When you called people Tugege?
When others called, no, I never called anybody Tugege. Others said the problems you're having is because you have Tugeges. It's not me. I also read that like
you just read it. Okay.
And like you're looking for the meaning of names, you may want to find out what that also means.
Crows. You told me specifically, actually, that it means crows.
This kabad that is always available where you are slaughtering animals.
Vultures.
No, crows. No, it's a crows. One is saying,
the crows.
That is why the kagege. And okay. And we've been in that journey. We then said we needed to get ourselves. Then there was the fight for trying to kill Jubilee Party, a vicious battle that we did in the courts. When we were fighting for it, there were many people who were telling me, why are you wasting your time? The party is just a name. Go to the ORPP and get another name and move on. And I said no. And I can tell you, even people to sign affidavits to support where my cause was not easy. So when we now are in a different space where we have secured all this, we have Jubilee Party intact, as a national party. We have a national leader as our, a presidential candidate who has a national appeal. He's joined others. We now have some of those who are fighting us in the government are now with us. So there's nothing like fighting one another from that angle. And it's now a question of ensuring that now that all of us have come to where we were always saying we should have been from day one, even as the handing over was going on at Kasarani 2022, it is you need to be a little clearer in our mind. So it is nothing more. It's just perhaps asking ourselves, can we move faster? For example, what is the narrative that we want to take there as Jubilee Party? What does it mean to those who wants to run on our party?
Yes.
Are we going to start with them? One of the things that many parties, other than I keep saying DCP, I admire what, or I like, maybe I not admire, maybe admiring is a strong word. I like what Gachagua has been doing with DCP. You need to be clear that as an aspirant, if I'm an aspirant or for the seat of Daragwa, for example.
Yes.
The question I ask myself is, I am going to run on this party. Is this party going to be there for me when the day comes? Am I going to get a nomination certificate? Are they even going to be there when elections are called? Are they going to be on the side of the people when elections are called? So all these things are the things that go through the mind of an aspirant. And the most important thing now, today, is to understand what are aspirants looking for and prepare your party to be that party that people can use to achieve what aspirants are looking for or what Kenyans are looking for. And I say that because, for example, if as an aspirant I imagine that we are going to get into something called zoning.
Yes.
Then that is it's almost a no-go zone for some people who are aspiring. Because zoning, you are actually saying you want to be zoned out. It happened to us 2022, we had zoning between ourselves and ODM. And we agreed this region will be ODM, this region will be Jubilee. And there are very many people who lost seats in Jubilee because of that zoning. So it is something that is feared a lot when it is mentioned within the corridors of Jubilee Party. So I do not think that there is anything more. It's that I could be sounding not bullish, but I could be sounding like I'm saying things that have not been seen yet, but they are going to be there.
It almost sounds as though...
Let me tell you, Mount Kenya Legion, the thing that also people are not saying is that the two parties that are going to battle it out, it's no longer UDA in its form that we know it, but it's going to be DCP and Jubilee.
So
and if it's not clear in the minds of those who want to run for seats within Jubilee, then they have not woken up.
Between the two. But it sounds as though
DCP is very clear that our opponent is this region is Jubilee. And you can tell you will bash Ruto, but upper kwa ground, it is chama hapa ni DCP. When you hear that word, it means if you thought of running with another party in that region, you are the one being addressed. You are the one being told, join us or you perish.
So are you saying that Jubilee, this is your party, you are the deputy party leader of Jubilee?
Yes.
Are you saying that Jubilee is unclear about the position that it has taken and is seemingly unclear to the ground about the position that it has taken?
No, it is not. Jubilee is not loud, has not been loud enough.
Okay.
Because of where we were coming from. And when we wanted to start getting louder, DCP came and got even louder. And now what we need to do is to take the megaphones and move around and say, we are here. Usifikirie, unakumbuka ile hadithi ya ilikuwa tortoise and this other thing is called what, chameleon or even sugura. It is sugura and chameleon. Sasa unaenda kukaa chini unasema hapana, usitukalie, tulifika kitambo.
Ndio kwa mkia wake.
Ilikuwa kwa mkia. So I think it is important wale wanakuja wajue kwamba Jubilee iko. And I am happy that the party has decided to feud at Karao. There was that was another waiting game, and I can tell you, people were waiting. Aspirants were waiting to see how is Jubilee going to behave at Karao, and it's not over yet. It's still now a question of what kind of support is going to be offered to the candidate. Now that we have a candidate in at Karao. Kwa hivyo hapa sasa game sio ile tu. It's no longer just the one term. One term Kenyans have said pack it there. We all are there. Now it is a question of how are we behaving towards when we are here, how are we behaving all over. And it's a very different ball game. I want to tell you that's why you a party that wants to survive with this must be a bit more. Actually, it's going to be laugh. Let nobody tell you anything else. When we now go to the ground and you want to win the seat at Kalau, as Kegwa, who is our candidate there, and you'll be looking at who are your other who are the other people competing with you.
Yes.
You'll be looking at DCP and you'll be looking at sawata UDA iko. Lakini UDA iko pale na UDA iko huko. Lakini mwenye una compete naye hapa ni DCP.
Do you think
DCP is... Oh, sorry.
Mheshimiwa, you're talking about you're going all out to face DCP.
I hope Kegwa is clear in his mind.
People are actually in the united opposition or alternative government. Do you think these friendly fires will consume your people? Because remember, you've also been labeled as a mole within the united opposition.
I don't know whether I'm being labeled as a mole.
DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua side. Because of course he was referring to you.
I don't know whether he was referring to me. I know he said there's a mole.
The pointers were pointing at you because you had an interview in the previous day. You had an interview in a radio.
But there were many interviews that day.
But you were the common denominator.
Well, then
and from the way you are talking,
then I am somebody you must listen to. Yeah, kama watu wote ambao walifanya interview siku hiyo ni mimi tu alisikiza. Lazima niwe kuna kitu ninasema.
Apart from
lakini
that,
kabla hiyo and just hold your I want you to think of what are the characteristics of a mole. We can come back to that. Carry on with your question.
The second part of the question was, do you think these friendly fires and sibling rivalry will rupture the united opposition? Because you people appear to
be... It is the responsibility of every leader within the united opposition. Every leader within the united opposition to nurture that unity. There is no one superior guy to the others. We all are in that space. And if I tell you that you thought, like I walked in and told Madam here, you are wearing XYZ party's kara. And you want to say something else. Hiyo sasa ni shida yako. It is, what is it that is uniting us? If you ask me, what is uniting us are the people issues. And these Kenyans are uniting us because they themselves are already in the one term. And they are telling you, be together. And if there is anything that we see that is not helping us being in their space, if you call it out, and another one thinks that you are a mole, kuna shida. Now, kabla hata niseme zaidi ya mole, you know, one of the things I think more, if you are receiving anything, any payment from government, kama wewe unakura pesa kutoka consolidated fund, uko na askari ambaye anaangalia wewe ama anakuendesha kwa gari. Yes, you are enjoying those services from the government. Then the government is able to keep tab of what you are doing more than any other person. So this definition of a mole, we must start being very careful when you call others moles. And when I tell you that don't insult this lady, it is not going to help us get the followers of this lady to our side of the camp, and you think I'm a mole, then there's a problem. Again, if you were in government and I was fighting you when you were in government, it's because I was in the opposition. So when you have come to the opposition,
don't carry the grudge.
Don't come and fight us in the opposition. Join us and join the opposition so that we can fight the government. So if you come and start disrupting the opposition and calling others small, you will alienate them. And there is not a single person who should get laid off. Mwendawazi mmoja akienda kwa soko aanze kusema hawa watu wachana na wao, haitasaidia sisi kama United Opposition. I don't know whether you get what I'm talking about.
Getting, yeah.
This unity is a very fragile thing. You are trying to unite yourself, come together to deal with the sitting government. And you opened up with that saying from West Africa. Kwa ati ya kwamba hii mto, you know the river you throw one leg before you, because it's a deep thing, you can get swallowed. So we are dealing with a very shrewd politician who has the reins of power. So if you now bring disunity in this side, na wanze kugonga wale ambao wata ni karibu walizaliwa kwa opposition, I don't think that is useful. Number two, when you say the unity of the opposition is because it is the unity of values, views, and all these things that you bring to the table and win. And I invite my colleagues in the opposition to go through the story of Hungary. How did this Hungarian guy win the government? How did he defeat the deep state that has been there for 16 years, 20 years, if you count the total number of years he had ruled? And it calls for a little more than what one thinks. It calls for accommodating that the one-term lulling call in Mount Kenya and the one-term lulling call in Western Kenya, while it is one term, it is pushed by different factors. And you must respect the factors of Western Kenya. And those Western Kenya must respect the ones in Mount Kenya and allow that then it is the coming together of those issues and the respect for those regions that would help us deal with the incumbent. So it's unfortunate. I've said this and I want to say this again. My friend now, Ligiji, I have no business fighting him. I have no reason to fight him. And I wouldn't want to spend any amount of energy fighting him or any other person in opposition. And I don't think they should spend any energy trying to be scared of my views, scared of me. I hold these views. You can go through my history. One of the things I never do is I never release my brain. Whatever it is I'm doing, I always retain it and I say it as it is when I can. And I can tell you, we have a golden opportunity to change the things as they are within government. There is time, but that time is inasonga haraka. You know, within the United Opposition tuko na kazi ya kufanya. We need to define ourselves. For example, if you use this as an example, when we went to Bere with a candidate from DP. And this DP candidate had actually been borrowed from the bus. And all the other parties had agreed that for as long as we can get, in fact, the starting point is that Nikiti DP. Then Lenny Kivuti said, I have a better candidate than the one that is being fielded by DP. And the United team said, then that candidate must move from your party to the party of DP. And we had a candidate at the Jubilee. We had to step him down to a point where we even reimbursed some of the costs that he had already incurred campaigning. Why? Because we wanted to ensure that this unity of the United Opposition holds, and we are not blamed for lacking it or locking it in any manner. I thought the same would happen at Olkalau. Yeah, this is a deep Jubilee seat, and I thought everybody would be saying Hallelujah, Jubilee eventually have something to do. Lakini sasa tuko pale. Kwa hivyo, we still are not making noise. We are saying sasa kama umesema tupabane, tuko pale. And so give us a credit also.
Mheshimiwa, the United Opposition, the conglomeration of parties, initially it was a cocktail, but it now appears like a concoction.
I don't know the difference.
There must be a difference.
I think
you have a lot
like,
of problems.
Sorry?
You have a lot of problems as Jubilee Party. Court problems. Courts have... they are not recognizing the party leadership changes.
No. It is not. One is that there are no problems. That I can tell you. You can never get Jubilee back in problems. The constitution that we have is very different from what was there before. Before you could walk in and throw shida kwa Jubilee. Leo, the veto power is the party leader. He can deal with all the issues that come before him. And I can tell you that those who wish to run on a party, the only stable party today, New Jubilee.
Okay.
And I will tell you why.
Why?
Many reasons, including that we have now a constitution that is answering to the times that we are in. And you can look for that copy of the constitution. If ODM had a similar constitution, they would not be having the difficulties that they are in now, because nobody would have had the ability to split it, and that as it is the case. Number two is that unlike all these other parties that are trying to fundraise using aspirants, whipping aspirants, actually some of them extorting from aspirants. At least Jubilee can have some funding from the government, so they're able to run some of the costs through funding from the state, as it is provided for under the constitution. The only other party that is doing that is getting that kind of funding is ODM and Wiper, some extent kidogo kwa DAPK. But all these other parties must really extort from the aspirants, and the aspirants cannot. They cannot sustain this battle against the state. Kutoka pesa kidogo unauza ya masiwa na kuuza kuku na mayai hapa na pale, and you're fighting with a guy who is has an access to the consolidated fund. So that's another challenge that will come to the united opposition. And sooner than later you'll see that exhaustion. Kwa sababu hiyo si kitu rahisi. When we were providing for this under the constitution and against the government of the day then, which was being led by Kibaki, it was that realization that opposition will always be struggling for funds. And since they are doing the public work, why also not allow them to access the public resources? But for you to access the public resources, you start by winning. Kwa hivyo lazima kwanza utembee peke yako ndio uweze kushikwa mkono pale mbele. Na it's not easy. We are looking at the 3 months down the line, and I am telling you, you will see that is something that will come in the way of united opposition. Hiyo ni kitu ambayo lazima tujue tutapambana naye kwa njia gani. Kwa hivyo I am not sure that we have the problems that we would want to talk about, for the reason that the people themselves are the ones in the opposition. So the leadership we have is the one looking for space among the people's minds. Unlike before, since 1992 we have been there. Tulikuwa tunasubuana na watu na serikali ilikuwa na zaidi karibu nusu ya watu ambao hawakuwa kwa opposition. This time loud, you are looking at 80 and 90% of Kenyans in the opposition. Actually, it is in the regions of 1 in 9 in 10 are in the opposition.
So are you saying that there's are you saying, Jeremiah, that there is a united opposition?
Yes, there is.
There is.
Yes.
And it is
Kenyans
possible,
are united in the opposition.
I'm talking about the individuals who are putting themselves up for positions of leadership in the political parties. There are different ones, from Jubilee to DCP to ODM to I don't know about ODM, to PLP to everybody. Right? But everybody seems to have the person who they would wish to be the president, for example, or want to run under different parties. Is it necessary to have a united opposition in truly what unification means, to say that if your goal is to remove the government of the day, for example, that everybody needs to steer the course and say, put down the gauntlet and select this one person who's going to push our collective agenda? Does that come into consideration?
If you ask me, I would say that yes, we need to have this one person whom we now rally behind so that Kenyans can focus and be able to say, hapa ndio na kichwa yao iwe. But there is also, of course, a danger to it because if you identify the candidate too early, you overexpose him and the government can start working on him in that way. If you now call political parties that are in the opposition into a room, they will walk in there and they know themselves. So if there is that unity of purpose, as whether we have been able to reduce everything into writing, it's one of the challenges that any united coalition must go through. We went through it at Azimio. Fortunately for the opposition this time around, I know it's not a position that is shared by many, Azimio coalition is still existing.
Yes.
And it is recognized in law, provided for, including all the way to RPP and even in Parliament. If it wasn't for the misbehavior of Junet, and you can call him or tell him that when he's seated here, and Wetagura, we will be having a clear position of the minority versus majority within Parliament. And in Parliament, it is Azimio versus KK. Unfortunately, those who were elected on those tickets went and kept quiet. So people may think like Azimio is not there. But the truth is that our institution of Parliament is composed of Azimio and KK members of Parliament. And so the opposition has that one advantage, which was not there 2022. Now we have a registered coalition within which the united opposition can work from. You know, this united opposition grouping can work from within Azimio. And that is where we have Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo as the chairman, as the leader of that. The chairman is Uhuru Kenyatta. As a leader of Azimio. And I believe that sooner than later he should be able to call those of us who are in the opposition and who believe in Azimio together, and that way we may start giving more confidence to those Kenyans who are asking the questions I hear coming from you this morning.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just interesting because I've just seen a comment that was kind of like, almost twinning to my question, is that the speed of the people is not the speed of the leader that's being taken at this moment. And it sounds as you're urging your presidential candidates and the people that may be around him at the moment to move a little quicker, be a little louder, and take up the space, because if not, time is going to pass you by.
The leaders, the people, Wakenya wako bele. Yeah, hapo sio swali. Wakenya wako bele ya viongozi katika opposition. Hapo, that one is for sure. I went to some places huko where those, I think it is Teto and Uthaya, when we were battling this late minister of PCA Church. I didn't join. I drove on. I was a little hesitant to join the politics that I found taking place. So I got there and drove on. Lakini na huko, any person you find that ukiingia kwa majani chai, the ones who are picking, they'll tell you about many things, and they say mutu moja. Hapo tu ndio wanasema. So wao wako bele, and they actually waiting for this one person. That's all they are waiting for. It's amazing. We've never gotten to this level since 1963. Ukiuliza mtupatie mtu moja. And so that drive ilinisaidia kufikiria zaidi mambo ambayo tunaongea. They are really looking at one person. Yes, and they are very keen to get that one person. Na ukiwauliza ni akina nani unasema one person, they mention them. Yeah, they mention them. Wakasema hata wewe umekuwa ukisema Matiang'i, hata wewe hapa nyinyi wote mtupatie mtu moja. That's the responsibility they are putting on our shoulders.
Talking about mtu moja.
We've seen I want to agree with Madam. The Kenyans are ahead. They have concluded on the issue of, in fact, there's somebody who sang a Kikuyu in a Kikuyu song, naitwa Wakioi. He was saying, we know the person we are not going to elect. It is now the person we want to elect that we want to know. And it concludes the whole topic. Imaliza namna hiyo.
Talking about mtu mmoja. Now that, of course, you belong to the opposition and you've been pushing for one term.
I'm happy that you are not seeing me as a mole. Thank you.
No, it's not me seeing you as a mole. It's regarding Gachagua, the leader of DCP, who sees you as a mole.
He didn't say me. You are the one assigning that the name to me.
No, we joined the dotted lines.
I'm telling you that is unfortunate.
Yeah. So
totally unfortunate.
You people have been in the opposition since the election of Kenya Kwanza. ODM has now seen the coming up of factions. Linda Mwananchi, Linda Ground. Linda Mwananchi appears to be speaking your language too. It's led by James Orengo and Edwin Sifuna. Now that the commoners are saying mtu moja, and Sifuna's ratings, according to them, appear to have risen. Should Sifuna come, who has come late in the day, but his ratings may if they surpass the people you've been pushing, will you maybe put your weight behind Sifuna and the Linda Mwananchi, and of course just make one political juggernaut?
You know, I want to face you because you have asked a question.
There we go.
You want to throw of this opposition. Sifuna is not a come late. Sifuna has been there from day one. He was one of the forces behind Baba. You may not have had him as clearer as he is now because Baba was there. But when you talk like, you say like, Sifuna amekuja amechelewa, Sifuna has been very consistent. Even when you were pushing for maandamano, Sifuna was really clear, much clearer than others, like Junet and all the others. He was the person I would look at and I would know, where are we? Where is ODM? Where is Jubilee? And it is not one time we would whisper to each other's ear and say, hapa tusikubali kuchezwa. Kioni hapa tukae kwa raini. So Sifuna is not joining this thing late. I want you to go through the names and I'll tell you the others who are joining us later. And that is why you should be very careful when you look at us and think that any of us can be a mole. We were seeing you as moles. Sasa wakati mulikuwa kwa serikali. And we are happy to be joined by many others. And since we want even those in government to come and join us, we will not be calling them moles or rats or rodents or whatever, lizards or whatever. Wakuje wa Kenya tujiweke kwa serikali ambayo inatufaa. So I am telling you, the team that you are seeing with Linda Mwananchi, even the team you are seeing with Linda Ground, si ati ni Ground kusema ukweli, wanasema Linda Ground, ni mfuko kwa saa hii. You know, kwa sababu mfuko iko na pesa kidogo ambayo inatoka kwa sehemu nyingine. Si ati they are ni Linda mfuko. Once that is done, they will come to the Linda Mwananchi. And some of those things, individuals you are seeing in Linda Ground are very, very loud supporters of Mwananchi. And you can actually see some of them cannot hold it, like Oparanya. Oparanya can't hold it for long. He is not one who is able to pretend. He will speak his mind and he'll go where his heart is.
You saying he's pretending now?
No, he's not. He can't pretend. He said the other day, kutafutia Ruto kura, munaifanya iwe gumu. Wacheni kusubua Sifuna. You know, if there are people you can help you run this government easily. It's like Oparanya. Oparanya was very key when Kibaki government was there and when the
planning.
Yeah, I mean he sees it as hana maneno ya kwenda huko. And some of these are the individuals we admire. So and Oparanya, even when he was going to join the broad-based, he was with us at the command center where Mheshimiwa Karonso operates from. Na yeye alisema unaona mimi ninaenda na nimeambiwa naenda na ninaenda. He came. Hata ingawa alikuwa arudi hakurudi. Mpaka wa leo tunangojea arudi atuambie, lakini hakujarudi, pengine atarudi. So I'm saying when he comes over, because I see them coming over at a given time. See ni Kenya na tulikuwa kwa 2002. People will eventually go to her. Look at how Governor Waiguru is speaking. You know, you may also want to say that she is bullish, like you are telling me I'm bullish.
Well, she apologized on behalf of the government.
She's trying to apologize on behalf of people because of the impeachment.
Yeah.
And I was saying how I wish she could ask some of us. This opposition has nothing to do with impeachment. Impeachment was just one of the other things that helps people move to the opposition. People moved to the opposition much earlier. But the impeachment in mafuta imeongezwa, mambo imeendelea ikiongezwa slowly. Now this finance bill that is coming, that is looking already very punitive, hiyo ni mafuta ingine. Hii kuongeza fuel to 197, umeongeza mafuta one after the other. 7 billion shillings going to France with the French president, na anakuja kupokea hapa Kenya. Hiyo pia ni mafuta ingine. He came all the way to correct the 7 billion shillings. So how you listen to her and say, na wewe Mama Waiguru, I wish you could ask some of us. This opposition is only growing day by day, and I can see her also. It's a matter of time before umuone badi. So she's also not one who
because it's interesting, because you were all in the same pots together at some point. Anne Waiguru, as governor of Kirinyaga today, was an operative for former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Very clear. She was one of his point men, or woman, however you want to look at it. So for her to be apologizing on behalf of somebody, is there something that has been sensed on this ground that you talk about that is moving faster than the leaders, that she understands, okay, if we don't apologize, if we do apologize, we could get people coming back to us?
There are two categories of leaders, and unfortunately for Kenyans, they are not able to quite make out. There are leaders who follow people. But there are leaders who actually lead the people. Many of the people you are now seeing talking like we understand, we are sorry, nini, they are the ones who want to follow people. Wanaanza kusema tunakuja pahali muko, lakini they are explaining us to the reason why we are on our way.
Yes.
And that is why, and then they will come and also call you moles and the rest. Maneno yote. Na kuna wale, na that's why I was looking at you a little more squared, because you don't seem to understand the Sifuna and Babu.
And you never answered it. You'll answer it later.
You never. So it's not. The Sifuna is not a person you are fighting. Hajakuwa nyuma ya raia, amekuwa pale mbele. And when the maandamano stopped, he moved into citizen radio thing and on the floor of the Senate, and he continued hammering, and he has won the hearts of people. And I can tell you, United Opposition, Azimio Coalition, any formation that emerges after this, if it doesn't factor in individuals like Akina Sifuna, if it doesn't take care of those of us who are also there from the beginning, and you come and throw them by the side, you are not being fair to Kenyans who have also stood out there for that long. It is also called betrayal, which is something that you must be very, very careful about, because Kenyans are also very loyal to those people who have also stood with them. And that is why you see them responding quickly to Babu, Leader Mwananchi, or James Olengo. People who are able to tell Bamba, ni kweli tunakusikia, lakini hii safari unaenda, hatuwezi tukakuachilia uende, lakini sio sawa. He was saying sio sawa. Hii karatasi nitasoma kwa sababu I'm the SG, lakini ukiniuliza kwa roho yangu, I don't believe in it. And that's the role of the SG. That is why you'll hear me a little more different than before.
Mheshimiwa, that question was not conclusively responded to. Of all the crop of leaders in the United Opposition and Linda Wananchi that appear to be maybe suitable for the presidential candidate position, not running mate, presidential candidate, Sifuna might be among them. Will you, all this, maybe throw your weight behind Sifuna, if all of you, because there is a feeling in opposition, which of course you may deny at this particular point, there's a feeling in the opposition that if Matiang'i is given the flag bearer, then the Rigathi team is uncomfortable. Likewise, if Rigathi is given this a mantle, your team and Matiang'i, you are uncomfortable. And so, Kalonzo or Sifuna appear to be compromised and acceptable candidates should they come. Can you people throw it behind Sifuna?
Ulikuwa umetupwa na nani?
These are things that siku ile ulisema mimi niko na fitina. Leo umesema
No, I don't think. I don't think one is I don't think there are a couple of things that are already out there that will have a lot of bearing in the direction that we go. But I do not think that at myself and Matiang'i we are uncomfortable with Rigi and no. It's that I was campaigning very hard for Matiang'i. That time he was out of the country.
Yes.
Now he is in the country. He's the one pushing the iyo gari. Mimi yangu sasa ni kukaa nyuma kukaa pale nyikiti ya si hata kiti kwa pick up unakaa pale nyuma unaangalia ikirukaruka.
Okay.
But and by the way, any person who thought because of the question you had asked earlier on the presidential candidature of Matiang'i in Jubilee, that is a dandy thing because it is decided by the NDC, not mambo ingine makaratasi mnasukusha hapa kwa hewa. Wow. And we will be having our NDC, but if anybody wants to join the bad wagon, we still have the NDC law, and you don't even need to be a peer party leader or a deputy party leader to be a candidate. You only need to be a member of Jubilee. So awezi ukasukuma hiyo kwa makaratasi hapa kwa barabara na mambo mengine. But I was saying we have signed to it that whoever it is that is picked by the United Opposition, we will rally behind that person. But what you have said is very, very important. Wewe mwenyewe umesema huyu akiuzwa au ataruka. Au akiuza huyu ataruka. You know, that then says you need a compromise person. This compromise person, again, like I was telling you, what are the characteristics of a mole? You must come up with characteristics of this person who is a compromise candidate. And that's where the challenge comes. You start looking for those characteristics and you can actually see, because you need all these people to agree to this person. So in a classroom, wewe unaweza kuwa wewe ndio unaonekana ukiwa hatari sana kwa sababu you are in a maths or a chemistry class. Lakini tukienda kwa biolojia haujui kichwa na mkia ya mnyama, you know, then you become also a liability. So we need to look for a person who can do maths, a bit of maths, who can do a bit of geography, who can do a bit of this, and can be able to give us the average person in this class who can help us move.
You know something about everything. Not knowing everything about
yes,
something.
but who can be able to be, let me say this position eventually will go with a person who is least threatening to all the people in the room.
Right. Least threatening to everybody.
Or least,
you know, if you press Mheshimiwa Kioni, you'll just mention names.
I wouldn't.
Don't press him.
Well, let's mention. How about mention? Okay, well, let's mention one
you
name.
You have to sit there, and I will mention the name. The name is Kibaki.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Are you getting? Are you seeing? Kibaki just sat there.
So you're talking about the past.
We called him he was called the fence sitter, Kigwea, General Kigwea, and eventually people said this guy looks harmless. Or I feel I will be less fearful with the presidency of this individual. That is how, when you're in this kind of a scenario, that's where you end. And I want to say this: if I were eyeing 2027, I would have done what I was trying to do a little earlier to avoid getting to this position, where you emerge as a clear favorite. If you emerge as a clear favorite early alone in the game, then you don't subject yourself to this. If Sifuna movement had started a little earlier than where we are, it's likely that everybody would be following that. Because kila mtu alikuwa, you take off and go. And I can tell you, this is what even Ligiji has been trying to do. Only that he's done it in one region. And the other regions have not responded to that kind of a ticket in that manner.
Okay.
So now that we are where we are, it then calls for everybody to come into the room. And I blame the presidential candidates who are not able to take off and give us a clear
direction.
lead much earlier. But where we are today, you will have to sit around and see who is this
the least threatening to everybody.
Yes.
We can't let the time go without us asking this question because it's come out in public debate as well. And you've mentioned his name a couple of times, and that's a name we will mention. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta is the party leader of the Jubilee Party. And it has come out that, he should not be in a position where he's actively influencing politics because it is unlawful. It is, what is your position? And you also have talked about the fact that the party leader will veto on certain things, and that party leader happens to be President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, just because he ceases to be president,
it's another debate that
doesn't mean that he will never open his mouth politically again.
It's unfortunate.
But what is your position about this?
One is that if UDA, the ones who are screaming all over that he should retire from politics, what I had even the Speaker of the National Assembly saying things that were sounding very
interesting. There's a word.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Use that one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now you know me. You see, if they had not given us the difficulties they did in Jubilee, Uhuru has been on record saying in an NDC that the next NDC I want to hand over. But they kept him in court for more than 3 years, trying to steal the party by force, while he had prepared himself to hand over the party to another group by a given date. And when you say that, yes, that was going to happen, it doesn't mean that you are wishing him off quickly, like some people with some vernacular language would want us to think. But the reality is that it will happen at one point or another. And it also helps me to inform this debate in this way. When we were doing our 2010 constitution, this was a discussion. And the question was, where will the former members, former heads of state, and personalities in this country be in the event that we need them? And we talked of a council of elders. We even talked of having them have an opportunity to go into the Senate and inform the country from time to time. And we were talking of former heads of state, former AGs, former CJs, and you can actually see those personalities wasting away until Malaga wants to come back and be a president. But if he was sitting or there was a council of elders, they would be able to say, pali munaenda sio mzuri, and then they will not be blamed for having jumped being one. Number two is that we who are running active politics, then you have a place you can go to and ask, tukifika hapa, nyinyi munaonaje? Because they sit at a very useful point.
Eminent persons.
Yes, and countries that that progress better are the ones that have those. US, they're always talking about their former head of state. Look at the way they treat, even when they are going to functions. They have a lot to play. And they are expected there. And it's an institutional thing. So when we talk about the head of state in the form of Uhuru Kenyatta, he is giving us an opportunity as a country to start having that kind of an institution, formally or informally. But to start bad-mouthing him, denying him parks, saying he should retire, he is making a mistake, that's a scared individual, a politician who is actually not worth the position he's holding. A Speaker of the National Assembly should be saying things better of a former member of parliament who has attained that stature. I don't know what his ambition is. As in, if he is really is aspiring to be head of this state, he should be thinking of how do we deal with these people. Remember, there was a time we had Uhuru, Moi, and Kibaki. And it was a beautiful thing to see. I mean, so we should not be bad-mouthing those individuals, denying them their insurances, medical covers, kuwanyima magari. I mean, that's too petty. And also taking all the time in funerals talking about them.
When we actually have
wape ruhusa waende kanisa, patia ruhusa vijana wapate kuongea na wao so that they can also gain some, insight. I mean, that's the way it should be.
Jeremiah Kioni is the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party and has been here with us this morning. At least you've answered, a number of things because we were questioning about certain positions. Some of those things have come up very clearly and then gives us insights into how this thing will all play out. Looking forward to the next one, Jeremiah. Asante sana.
Asante sana, thank you so much.
Asante.
Nimefurahia kukutana na ndugu yangu, lakini yeye si mtu ya fitina.
You know where you will meet. Good morning, 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news wire. I'm Sheila Tembor. The IEBC has warned that a funding shortfall of about 33.4 billion shillings could disrupt preparations for the 2027 general election and upcoming by-elections. Appearing before the National Assembly Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, the Commission said it requires 74.8 billion shillings to fully implement its election program, but has so far received 41.3 billion shillings. IEBC Deputy CEO Obadiah Keitan said the funds are critical to ensuring free, fair and credible elections.
Another thing I can say is we are expecting that we shall have about 28.5 million registered voters in the 2027 elections compared to 22.1 which we had in 2022. And purely on the basis of that number and with the number of polling stations we are looking at, we shall be having an average of just a little 500 persons per polling station.
The Commission cautioned that if the gap is not addressed in time, key election preparation activities could be delayed or compromised. Health CS Nduh has announced that more than 170,000 community health promoters will begin receiving full health insurance under the SHIP fund from July 1st this year. Speaking at Coast General Referral Hospital in Mombasa during the launch of a cancer treatment center equipped with a modern LINAC radiotherapy machine, Nduh said that the national government has reached an agreement with county governments to facilitate their coverage and the transfer of salaries for universal health coverage workers. As said, the contracts of UHC workers have been extended to 30th June with funding already allocated through the State Department for Medical Services. Nduh added that from 1st July, the workers will be absorbed into permanent and pensionable terms under county governments in a move aimed at resolving long-standing employment concerns.
UHC staff, you know that you send me a lot of messages, so I have an opportunity to answer you so that you don't send me messages when I'm watching Manu or when I'm in the mosque. We have extended your contract up to 30th of June and the money is available with the PS Oluga, and the chair of health committee will tell you that on the 1st of July the whole payroll and your permanent and pensionable will be taken over by our county government.
To other news, when the Njeri Njeri Trust has threatened to mobilize mass peaceful protest over rising insecurity in Meru and Isiolo counties, accusing the government of failing to stop deadly bandit attacks and protect affected communities. Speaking in Nairobi, the group claimed that more than 140 people have been killed in the region over the last 2 years and demanded immediate changes in the security leadership, warning that failure to act within 7 days will trigger legal action and street protest.
Without serious action being taken by the government to arrest the worsening situation in Ibori, in Tigania West, Tigania East, Egembe Central and Egembe North, we will be forced to take illegal action. The trust will take illegal action.
People are being slaughtered like livestock while the state remains a passive spectator.
The government must provide full financial compensation for the families of the 142 deceased and facilitate the immediate recovery or reimbursement of the 15,000 stolen cattle.
And residents of Bungoma are living in fear following the killing of Public Health Officer Fiscal Wakafura, who was attacked by unknown assailants at his home in the Forest View area along the Musikoma-Bumula Road. His brother Godwin Wakafura says the incident occurred shortly after the deceased arrived home last night. Residents have since raised concerns over rising insecurity and are calling for enhanced security in the area.
Pascal alikuja akapark gari yake akarudi akafunga gate. So after kufunga gate, kwa hiyo hali ya kuingia kwa nyumba akavamiwa na hao majanga, pigwa na object kwa shingo na kwa mdomo, na ni kama hiyo ya shingo ndiyo ilimuua. hakuna kitu waliiba, hakuna kitu waliiba, kwa nyumba wakuvunja wakaingia, gari yake iko, simu kwa mfuko ilikuwa na pesa kwa mfuko ilikuwa.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante,
we will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. At 8 minutes after 9 o'clock, into the final hour of the Situation Room this Wednesday morning, and getting into a time where it comes to where I asked the question early on at about 6 in the morning. I said, what on earth is going on? There just seems to be too much, and we don't have to look too far sometimes to find it. We're going to talk about responsibility this hour, and we're going to be looking into certain issues whereby the questions are who holds who responsible. We often have this conversation when the thing has already happened, and then we say, okay, perhaps somebody should have taken responsibility, somebody should have led the way, somebody should have guided in one way, shape, or form. So how about as these things are unfolding, we talk about them, and absolutely necessary for us to do this morning. Joining us in the hot seat of the Situation Room, by a miracle this morning, he'll tell you, Bishop Tony Kiama is the lead pastor at the KG River of God Church. We're looking into church and state, keeping leaders in check, and that's what we're talking about this morning. Bishop Kiama, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
It's a miracle I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 17 minutes ago, I was on Outer Ring Road. And I think the one thing that broke my heart is the fact that it's not because there were too many cars. It's because there were actually policemen in the road.
Yeah.
But you could see on their faces, they are so demotivated that it was like the days of judges. Every man did whatever they thought was right. As in, everyone was just doing what they want. People are making U-turns, others are turning, others going the wrong way. And I'm looking, you know how sometimes you get frustrated and you're like, Maze huku ni wapi? Then you're looking at the policeman, and he looks so demotivated, so removed. And now I started asking myself this question. What's going on? What's going on in the heart and in the mind of that policeman? And then I thought it was just one. And then across the road, there was a female one. And I was looking, and they are so demotivated. And in my head, I wondered, Maze, what kind of nation is this? These are the guys we look up to as a police officer. And so they are so demotivated. And it's rush hour. God, may you remember these men and women in Jesus' name.
Amen. That's the questions that we're looking into this hour. And of course, some of those questions that you're asking are some of the things that form our conversation. But before we do that, we are in the country of the kingdom. Now that we're talking about kingdoms and princes.
Eswatini.
Eswatini. And the proverb this morning, we'd love your interpretation of it, how it appeals to you. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet.
Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both
feet.
As in no restraint. My understanding is that you need to be cautious. Even when you're getting into a situation, test first.
Yeah.
And if I was to find a scripture, I would say 1 John 4:1, test every spirit, for so many false prophets have gone into the world. Yeah. So if you step in with both feet, you're gone if it's too deep. Yeah. So use one foot to be sure, and then the next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I think it's in essence, it's a proverb on being cautious.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. So we started the newspaper review this morning, and it's interesting. We're going to connect that to conversations that we have in the room, and oftentimes people will ask us, oh my goodness, you people have to be so negative. Why do you always look for the negative things? And sometimes I say, well, unfortunately, it's not that hard to find. You kind of wake up in the morning and it slaps you in the face.
Yes.
And we do our duty to try and maybe diffuse some of these things and perhaps talk about how things ought to be. And usually, like I say, we apply the knee-jerk reaction to situations whereby we could have been preventative in nature. And oftentimes, people will say, well, where was the church in all of this when all of these things were going belly up? Why didn't anybody speak out? Why did we have to wait until, terrible things have happened, and then you come back and say, actually, yes, we should have? That in the time when things may have been going wrong, why didn't we see direction? Why didn't we hear voice? Why didn't we see it more clearly and loudly? And it circles around some of the stuff that we talk about today.
Yeah.
We're going into the season we're already in the season where, our politics is flying all over the place.
Yeah.
People are going to do things that are off color. But then we look at the soul, and there are things that are happening that I'm not quite sure. And I said, perhaps it's necessary for us to pray because we can talk at this point. And I'm seeing stories of children, more than not, children being defiled, children going missing, children being beaten to within an inch of their lives. All of these things happening. Somebody killed in a house in Kasarani yesterday because there's a thought that maybe she was sleeping with her boss's husband, and then her life was taken away. I mean, people saying things to one another. 33 secondary school students are being presented before court. You know why? They were involved in burning schools in Taveta and Kilifi County. And the question is, what was this that could not have been discussed? And people say, well, that's it. When they get a little bit frustrated, they burn down the school. Okay. What is it, whether it was 35 years ago, whether it is today, that cannot be discussed and solved as points of concern, that the children then have to take the route of burning down the school? Something is going on.
Yeah, something ain't right. And I want to say this, that it is unfortunate. I don't think we will ever be in a time where there is no evil around. Because even when you read through scripture, evil has always been with us. But what is the role of the church in every generation? And I think one of the reasons why things are going really, really south, and there's a sense of hopelessness in society today, is because church is in bed with government. And the current government understood the power of the church. And so they came into church, poured money into church, and bought church. And that's why even when obvious things are going really, really south, things you don't have to pray and fast to see, the church is unable to speak. Because as a Swahili proverb says, huwezi kunia kwa ile sahani unakulia. And so our church leaders today, they are unable to speak against this current government because they have taken money from this government.
Even if it was a while ago?
It's still a lot of money. It's still money. Yeah, you still owed. And that's why you can see the power of the gift. The power of the gift. And that's why, for example, there's a story in the Kings of the young prophet and the old prophet. And God made it very, very clear to the young prophet that as you're going to cast the altar, do not, if they give you water, don't take the water, don't take their bread, and don't take their donkey. Now, God knew that this young man, was deficient of those things. He knew that he was young, he didn't have money, and God would have given him those things, but God did not give him. He wanted to ask him to fulfill his mandate regardless of how he felt or his shortcomings, or his insufficiencies. And so as he went, he fulfilled what he had been told. But on his way out, the old prophet's son told him what had happened. And so he caught up with the young prophet, and he tells the young prophet, even I am a prophet of the Lord. And the scripture makes it very clear. And he says that, yet he was lying. And he says, even I hear from the Lord. And the Lord has told me to tell you that he has seen how hungry you are and how tired you are. And so here is a donkey, here is bread, here is water. And he goes against what the Lord had told him. Had been given strict instructions, don't even go the same way you came. And so he took the bread, he took the water, and he took the donkey. And on his way home, he was mauled by a lion. The lion did not even touch the donkey. So in essence, the power of the God understands the power of the gift. If you receive the gift, you're compromised. And so the church today has been compromised. And the government is aware of the power of that gift. And so he went around and gave gifts to the church. And the church is mum, regardless of what he does. The church will not speak because they took money from the head of state, when he wasn't the head of state, of course.
How do
Bishop,
Okay.
It's quite interesting. You've admitted that the clergy have gone in bed with the state. Remember, we cannot, of course, the state and the government must coexist. Remember that if you even just walk around Nairobi, these critical installations, look at around State House, at the National Assembly there, you will see that these are lands that were initially owned by the church. We are not poor institutions.
No, they are not.
Remember that the place where Parliament sits today was actually the Anglican Church, St. Stephen's, that's now at Jogoo Road. What is this that we should do as a society to ensure that the church comes back to its initial position as a voice of reason? Because they must coexist, but they should not be in bed. How do we disengage and ensure that there's a thin line of separation of not going to bed between the church and the state? Because you people can check the excesses. You're a voice of reason.
Previously, the church was active. The church was trusted. The church, there were a few times we had clergy on the street who would tell, you remember during President Moi's time, the church told him enough is enough.
Kina Timothy Njoya.
Exactly. This country cannot go on the way it's going. Now, the current crop of
clergy,
unfortunately, are greedy. I think, to just say the least. It's just greed. And greed is insatiable. It's as simple as that, unfortunately.
So it's not even poverty; it's greed.
It's just greed because they are on salary. Some of these churches are not broke, far from it. But why wouldn't they stand up and speak against the evil in society today?
Let me maybe pause this way. We've never seen our Muslim brothers, the political class, penetrating mosques as they do to these other
because there's
Christian.
a bit more accountability on that side. And let me explain it this way. We get into a situation where the elders of the church are of the same spirit as the pastor. So the elders are supposed to hold, the deacons or the elders are supposed to hold the pastor accountable. But because people who live in glass houses don't throw stones, as long as pastor, you don't ask me where I got this car from. Because the deacon is also not living right. He's cheating on his wife. He's not raising his children well. He has unaccounted for wealth. And by and large, some of those positions are given to people not on merit, but on bank balance. Because you're wealthy, you're made a deacon in the church. Now, when you come there, no one wants to care where you got your money from. So the pastor never asks the difficult question. By the way, what do you do? How did you afford to buy a car like this? Now, because I don't ask you, you also don't ask me. So the pastor can do whatever he wants as long as he also doesn't ask. So the pastor, for example, some of the atrocities we see in churches, this pastor has done this, they has done that, crossed the line several places. You ask yourself, sincerely speaking, where are the elders of that church? And even some of the utterances that some of the pastors make, and you wonder, where, truly speaking, where are the elders in that church? And they're supposed to hold this man accountable. But in some of these churches, it looks like absolute power. They have absolute power. And what do they say? Absolute power corrupts?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yet, the church is supposed to be the moral fabric of society. And the truth is, this country here, called Kenya, literally, if you are to remove the influence of the church in this country, sincerely speaking, would have nothing left. Look at the schools. As much as we say, oh, the white man took from us, look at the schools that most of us went to. Even the most prestigious schools in this country. Look at Alliance. Who built that school there? It's the government that took from the church. Where parliament is built, that was church property. As in, literally, most of us were born in hospitals that were built by the church. And the doctors were missionaries. Literally, you can see the footprint of the church in this country. But when we get to a point where now the church, they are no longer servants, but we have transitioned from being servants to managers of God's resources. God never called any of us to be a manager of resource.
There have been people who have stood out, though, and I think we can see those.
There are a few, yes.
There. And we have seen also recently that whether you want to call them mainstream, as they are, that have taken a particular stance and said, you won't come here and essentially desecrate with these political utterances. You must go out and do that. Does that contribute to the church taking a position? And can you then lay the blame at the church in general, or will you call out particular I don't know if to call them factions or particular parts of the church as a body?
I thank God that they are waking up now. A bit late, but they are. They should have been voicing those concerns earlier. Because right now, when you look at some of every Sunday, the political class is in a church somewhere. And one of the reasons they are in one of the churches somewhere is because they are raising money for whether the pastor, the children's church, something. They are always raising money. That's the bait. Until we get to the point where we no longer want their money. Because, and they are basic questions. If your salary is 1 million shillings a month, so you're making 12 million, and you go around giving 20-something million shillings in donations through the year, where are you getting that money from? You're stealing it, and you're bringing it to church. And the church is there quietly saying, yes, Mheshimiwa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Why do they feel the need for your offering to be announced? And I thank God there was a pastor recently who said, you know what, if you have to announce your offering here, then we don't want it. Put it in the offering bag like everybody else. Because at the foot of the cross, the ground is level. Whether you're a politician or not. And they walked off. They walked away. Shamelessly walked away. Why? Because their money was to buy for that space. They wanted to be announced so that people can know that we gave this amount of money to the pastor. But there was a pastor who decided, you know what, enough is enough. And if you're not going to put it in the offering bag like everybody else, whether they gave a shilling and you're going to give $1 million, it doesn't matter. In fact, the Bible says, if you announce it, then you have already received your gift. In essence, it's a curse. But because of that, if every church was to agree, you know what, this is the way we will go. We will choose righteousness over greed. This country would change.
Bishop, Nduh posed that question, saying that the other churches that call themselves mainstream, some of them have taken a very firm position and raining on errant politicians. But these errant politicians eventually get a refuge in contemporary churches. These are the churches that are, of course, basically they may not have as much property. Let's say just call it a property like the mainstream churches. And that's where the problem comes in. Because every Sunday, it's like they have a schedule already. They know where they'll go to church on this particular Sunday in August to December. They know. And maybe you'll get that out of those schedules, they'll go to mainstream churches maybe 2-3 times a year. And eventually, if you block them, you've seen even some church leaders, church sermons happening at State House. They congregate there. You get a conglomeration of churches. They come under one banner at State House. they have a sermon at State House. Yes, now that's the question. How do you rein in?
Who should be calling who? The priest or the king? Who's subordinate to who? Yes. Yeah. The king is subordinate to the priest.
Yes.
So it is the priest who should be calling the king, not the king summoning the priest. So that's what I'm telling you. We've lost it.
Interdenominational prayers. Interdenominational.
I think that has been abused.
That's a palatable name for a political rally, because you'll get like 3-4 pastors. They have different sections in that interdenominational prayers, and then the huge chunk goes for political speeches. And it's actually rotational. You'll get it's actually in Teso, Kakamega, Kilifi. So at the end of the day, the whole country is covered.
You know, the politicians are quite cunning, and they're looking for opportunities where they will find the people. And so they will do whatever it takes. But for us to agree to be used as church, it is embarrassing and it's very shameful. And I think it is important for us to come to a place where we say enough is enough. And we have bodies that their mandate is to hold the church accountable. For example, we have the NCCK. And we have the EAK, you know, and several other organizations who should stand and say, you know what, this is wrong and we do not accept this. As a body, as a body, we say, you know what, this is wrong. It is unacceptable as a pastor, and we recommend that this church be closed or this pastor should be put under discipline. Because they have the power to do so. The question for me is, why do they choose not to? Why do they choose not to? Because they have the power to do so. So why don't they do it? Because we have a runaway situation here. And these men are doing absolutely, they are saying nothing, you know, or they release a statement once in a while.
Is it because there may be the perception that there needs to be a softer approach to things of right and wrong? That you don't need to come out so bullish to deal with some issues, that you maybe need to say a word every now and then you can leave it to human interpretation to do the rest?
And then the church continues to get more and more rotten, being taken advantage of, and these people do whatever they want. And it's like the days of Judges. People do whatever they want, whenever they want. Yeah. It feels like, you know what, the politicians own the church. They have the right to do it. But they don't. Just because we have a few rogue ministers doesn't mean the entire church is gone rogue. And so we need to rein on these rogue ministers and say, you know what, enough is enough. There are certain lines you shouldn't cross, and if you cross, these are the consequences.
What would a turnaround look like? And whereby, whether we want to admit it or not, that society really looks as though it says, well, these entities ought to operate separate from one another, that you cannot bring in religion and state and have this matrimony, that one needs to perhaps guide the other, but they cannot be in the same position.
God did not intend for both of them to be. Mm-hmm. Because when the children of Israel asked for a king, Samuel was a priest. Mm-hmm. If these positions were interchangeable, then the priest would have become the king. Mm-hmm. But when they rejected God, Samuel went to God and he said, these people have rejected you. They have rejected me. And he said, no. It's not you they have rejected. It's me they have rejected. God took ownership and he said, the office of the priest continues to be the office of the priest. But the office of the king now was established. And so Samuel was made king. Saul was made king, the first king of Israel. And after that, David. Now, Samuel continued to be priest because the office of the king and the office of the priest are parallel. Mm-hmm. And one of the objectives of the priest is to hold the king accountable. That is why the priest has no business eating from the king's table. Mm. But we have a generation of ministers who are, I'm trying to find palatable words, who are fascinated by the delicacies on the king's table. Mm-hmm. And so they every so often find themselves at the king's table, enjoying the delicacies there. But at a cost. And so they are selling their soul. And that's why we are where we are today in the country, as we are, because we are oblivious of the reality on the ground. And it's selective amnesia. We don't want to see.
And so is that why you see that when at a funeral, priest will speak about the things that are actually going wrong, and it's as though it's a surprise. And he says, basically, don't come here and talk to us about this, that, and the other thing when you've not fixed education, where people are poor, where people are continuing to suffer. Don't come to us and speak about certain things when you've not fixed that. Go back and fix your house. But then we watch it and we're all in shock and we say, man of the year. Is he doing what he's supposed to be doing?
Yes. He's supposed to hold the king accountable. And there are many examples in scripture where the king was told off by the priest, as it should. When you've crossed the line, you're told you've crossed the line. Here you have sinned and you shouldn't. Nathan went to David and he said, what you have done is wrong and God is going to punish you. Yeah. There are several, in fact, every priest rebuked a king once or twice. Exactly. And so you can see even where we are. Samuel rebuked Saul. Yeah, what is this you have done? God regrets making you king. He was rebuked and he was told what would happen to him, and he did. Elijah the same with Ahab. So he was rebuked, he was told what you have done is wrong and you will pay for it. So the question is, how come the current generation of ministers are not willing to publicly tell the king, here what you have done is wrong and God will punish you? Because God is still a consuming fire. He is still a consuming fire. Let me ask you, my sister, when you stand and you say as a believer that I am born again, one of the mandates of every born again Christian is to win souls. The Great Commission. My president has said that he's born again.
Yes.
And there are many times I ask myself, my brother, you have said you're born again. How come I've never seen you in any church that you go to ask people to get saved? So which one is greater, the Great Commission or your quest for the office? Because you're always asking for votes. Shouldn't you be seeking for souls, not votes?
Might say that he's a little bit busy doing some of these other things, and so that doesn't give him the wherewithal.
So souls are superior. I mean, votes are superior to souls. So when he goes to Mombasa and he's wearing kanzu and he's in a mosque, how come he doesn't tell them that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior? uko kwa hiyo mosque, because he's a believer. Because you're first, or the question should be, which one are you first? Are you first president, or are you first a believer? Which one is greater than the other, Mr. President? Kuokoka, wewe ni mfuasi wa Yesu, ama kuwa raisi wa nchi? Which one is greater? Because are you first born again, or are you first a president? Because if you are first born again, then the mandate, it's a great opportunity for you to be president that you would push, regardless. You're first born again. And so when you go to church, you should preach the gospel and teach people to live a righteous life and to walk away from sin. And he should be rebuking people when they steal money from government. He should be using scripture. But we don't see that happen. So for me, the question I keep wondering is, hey, Raisi wetu, si umeokoka mpendwa? How come you're not telling these people to get saved?
Bishop.
Yeah. And I know we should separate state and church. But when you're doing state matters, you're doing state matters. But you're still a believer in state, heading the state. So when you go to church, shouldn't you also be encouraging people to read the Bible, to win souls, to live a righteous life? Yeah. Beyond, seeking for them to vote you in.
For next time.
Well,
exactly.
Bishop, it's a very delicate balancing, because you talk about NCCK, yet there is a registrar of societies that's actually domiciled in the office of the Attorney General that is tasked with the registration of churches. So I get some land, I erect some dome tent, I have a public address system, some plastic seats. And I start off. First Sunday, I have a congregation of 20. It grows. I have a vibrant choir. Maybe I venture into social media. I attract masses. At the end of the year, I have thousands of congregants, not followers. Now followers, who are now turning into, they're actually now your followers. Very faithful. But remember that initially, you've done your feasibility study. You know the area, the catchment area. Now you tailor your messaging
to fit the need.
If it's in somewhere like Karen, you sell hope.
Yes.
Richness. If it's the other, like Kibra, you want to sell fear. If you don't do this, you'll go to hell. The clergy, in as much as we may maybe say that, maybe blame you for the greed, not really a wholesome condemnation, but a section.
Yes.
But also the tailoring of your messaging to the congregation, to the faithful, is also one thing. What do you say of that? The tailoring of the message.
There's actually a portion of scripture that says that the gospel that will be preached, do not just preach what the itchy ears want to hear. And that's one of the signs of the end times. That there will be preachers who will only preach what the world wants to hear. In essence, kuwapaka mafuta, so that they can give, not necessarily the true gospel. And I said that is the point where EAK, NCCK should come in and advise government or the registrar of societies and say, you know what, as a body, this we don't agree with. Yeah, this is not about doctrine. This is just purely wrong. This is morally wrong, and we don't accept this. And they should advise government, close down this church, rain down on these rogue ministers, because they have the capacity to do so, but they don't. So the question for me I keep asking is, why don't they want to rain down on rogue ministers? And there are two reasons that I can come up with. Number one is either they are cowards, or number two, they are beneficiaries. Because you live in glass houses, you don't want to throw stones. Because you also have skeletons. So you don't want to point fingers at another because there are three others pointing at you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not saying the issue of judging each other here. I'm just saying, I think we have to come to a place where we hold each other accountable. For example, We keep complaining that our members of parliament are taking us to the bathroom. Wanatuosha mbaya. You know, I think at this point, CDF is what? 100 million every month?
Yeah, every year.
130.
Exactly. I want to imagine in every county and in every constituency, there are young men in every constituency and every county. If they would form legal teams and they would take their members of parliament to court and ask them to account for that 100 million every year. I don't know how much Pesa Mashinani is in terms of the counties.
But the MP will argue he has no role in the CDF management.
Then let's hold him accountable on what he manages. Let us audit the roads in every constituency, in every county. Let me tell you something. The day the young men in every county will say, you know what, enough is enough. This money that is being sent to the county is our money. We want to know exactly what happens. And they go to the Auditor General, they write to the Auditor General and say, we want you to give us an audited report of how our money was spent in the county. And where there are discrepancies, they go to court and say, we want to recover our money. The day we go down there and say, enough is enough, this country will change. The day we hold each other accountable. And it's the same thing. The day NCCK, EAK, and all these other organizations will say, you know what, enough is enough. We first of all hold each other accountable. Let me tell you a story. Samuel, one of the greatest prophets in the Bible, when he was coming to the end of his life, he stood up and he said, he challenged the people of his day. He asked them, show me. In fact, let me read it out. 1 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 3. 1 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 3. He says, here I stand, testify against me in the presence of the Lord and his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Whose donkey have I taken? Whom have I cheated? Whom have I oppressed? From whose hand have I accepted a bribe to make me shut my eyes? If I have done any of these things, I will make it right. He was challenging the entire country and he was saying, if I have done anything wrong, bring it to the table. I want you to tell me, any minister today, they are there, maybe I might not know, but I'm yet to see a minister or a denominational head who would stand and make this statement publicly. Nioneshe, with everything I have, show me what I have taken unlawfully. I can account for everything, even a shoelace that I have. Show me.
You.
Come.
Individually.
Yes. I can account for everything I have. Yeah. I can draw a line. My taxes.
It's your word against yourself. So
and maybe we are here. It's public.
Yeah.
This is a public forum.
Yeah.
I want to go back
until that day where we hold them accountable. The church will change.
Yes.
So there's holding accountability, and then there's being held accountable. That, you know, if you're in a particular position, chances are that you would be able to manipulate the system so that nobody can hold you accountable, and that becomes a whole kettle of fish. But I want to go back to the president for a minute. That there seems that a separation line has been drawn very clearly. That asking for votes to become the president, then you start to fulfill a job. There is a job to be done.
Yeah.
And that is of policy, of governance, of leadership, of all of these things, constitutionalism. That has to be done.
Yes.
And that your choice of who and how you worship is personal.
Yes.
And that it should not mix with the job.
It shouldn't.
So then how do I now say that people should, as the president, start asking people, why should I be talking about saving souls as the president?
Let me ask you. Because you are a banker, you go to the bank. Do you still have the mandate of winning souls as a believer? Yes. Does your mandate as a believer stop when you become the head of state?
No, but there's all these things that you're supposed to be doing, like at the point where a teller is serving you in the bank.
Yeah, you still give your money. But do bankers still go on missions?
I would imagine that they do.
Hallelujah. So, do members of parliament go on missions? Should they? Should the head of state go on missions and win souls as a believer?
Yeah, if he wants, he should.
Not if he wants. It is a commandment that Jesus gave. Go into the world, in Jerusalem, in Judea,
in Samaria, and all
in
parts of the
Samaria
world.
and all the parts of the world. Doing what? Making disciples,
Of all
baptizing
men.
them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So those are some of the questions I ask myself.
Had he not openly declared, and this is where it gets a little bit sticky, Bishop, because had he not openly declared that he was a believer?
He was. He had.
If he hadn't,
had.
would we hold him? If he hadn't, though, would we hold him to the same responsibility or a level of accountability that we're doing now, and saying that he said he was, so then therefore he must? What if he had never?
I think for me,
what if he was like President Uhuru Kenyatta, who would go and attend the services every now and then on a Sunday?
he never said he was a believer.
Opened his mouth before that.
He didn't say he was a believer, but when you open your mouth and you say that you're a believer, the standards are higher. Yeah, when you say that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, then we will hold you to a higher account because the standard is higher. Yeah, because you're born again. But when you're president and you're not born again, I'm not saying we will not hold you accountable to it, but the standards are not as high. Yeah, and that's why for me, as a pastor, I will hold him accountable. Whether he comes to my church or not, I mean to the church where I serve or not, I will hold him accountable because he has said, he has confessed publicly, and not once, that he's a born-again Christian. And so the questions I keep asking is, if you're a born-again Christian, then explain how you, this and this and this is happening during your tenure. Yeah, why should we be losing money? The other day I saw that we are selling human blood now. We are exporting human blood. And it broke my heart. I was like, just a minute. This is wrong. This is messed up. Number one, blood is donated.
Yes.
Free will. True?
True.
So by the time you're selling it, you're exploiting the people who are giving the blood, and we don't even have enough blood in the country in the first place. So how should we be? Why would we even be selling blood? Why would things like that be happening when we have a head of state who's born again? The levels of corruption, they haven't gone down, they have gone higher. Institutions are shutting down. Why should those things happen? Yet we have a born-again Christian who should be raining down on people who are corrupt. We should be trying to find all the money that has been stolen, because all monies leave a paper trail. We should find that money, see these corrupt officers, bring that money back. Those are the things that we would expect, because the standard is higher. Yeah. You see, if we go out there, and as a minister you find me doing certain things, and another man, just another man, him, Ochanda, you know, there are certain things you wouldn't expect me to do. If, for example, me and Ochanda were, you know, hitting out on girls, you would see people ask, Allah, see, that one is a pastor. How can he be doing that?
But for me, they'll say, Nisawa.
Exactly. Why? Because it's expected of you. You're not born again, or if you are, you know, the standard of the minister is higher. Or if you're born again, if you publicly declare that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, the standards are higher. And remember, our brother was part of Noret. He was an evangelist. North Rift evangelistic team. He was part of that. So did he stop to evangelize when he became president? And I know it's a thin line, but sincerely speaking, for the 5 years that he'll have been in office.
Bishop, in 2024, there was a proposed religious organizations bill 2024 in the country. Of course, the clergy came up in arms. And some of the components, the key aspects of the proposed legislation: mandatory registration, of course, that has actually been happening. Requirements: registration needs 25 members, a certified theologian leader, that's required. Financial control: separate bank accounts required for tithe/donations versus commercial activities. Commercial income becomes taxable. Penalties: up to 5 million shillings fine or 10 years in prison for using fraudulent miracles to extort money. Then restrictions, prohibition of political activities to gain power. So the second last two, penalties, 5 million or 10 years in prison for using fraudulent miracles. The
Why
clergy,
would anyone refuse that?
The church, we are actually.
I'm just asking.
No,
as a Kenyan, no.
They
Why
refuse
would
because
anyone refuse?
they want to enrich themselves through fraudulent miracles, and they've actually been so notorious. We've seen them, we know them. It's just because you see, we live in Kenya. You know them, I know them, Nduh knows them, and then restrictions, prohibition of political activities to gain power. The last two, most churches are actually notorious, and they're actually guilty of the last two. How do you maneuver that to ensure that you will have said, yes, introduce that bill, but maybe expunge the first three, but the rest should be left so that we can have some sanity in the church that has actually been a voice of reason. There are days when Kinandingi Bwana and Zeki will speak. Of course, we hear from history. We were young when they were speaking. But from the history, it's actually corroborated. And we can easily tell who the clergy that used to speak. You remember Kina Manasseh Kuria, when Raila Odinga and the late Raila Odinga and the late Kijana Wamalwa were scrambling for the leadership of the Ford Kenya party. It's actually a clergy who was trying to get a truce between the two. Today, whenever there's a political feud, the church is quiet. They're even taking sides.
Why do you think they're quiet?
Now tell us. Why?
You know, that's a very good bill. It's actually shameful that the government would come in to regulate us. Actually very, very shameful. Because in essence, that statement is saying that we are unable to self-regulate.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we are unable to self-regulate is because of corruption. So in essence, we are being told that we are not mature enough to self-regulate. Yeah. We don't have the courage to self-regulate or hold ourselves accountable. So the government is now coming and looking inside. The secular world is looking into the spiritual world and is saying, hey guys, hata kama nyinyi ndio kanisa, this is too much. Yeah, that's what they're saying. And then when they actually come up, because the secular world is the one that wrote that. And then the church is saying, no, we can't accept that, we can't accept that. Why? Because they don't want regulation. Where there is no order is total chaos. And in any chaos, there's someone who's benefiting. In every war, as much as people are dying, the guy who's selling bullets and bandages is laughing all the way to the bank. In every crisis, there's a beneficiary. And so in this mess,
there are beneficiaries.
There are a few top clergy who are benefiting from it, and they don't want accountability. And I'm saying, until we get to the point where the deacons will say, you know what, Pastor, enough is enough. And every deacon board holds their pastor accountable. The country will change. Yeah. But how will he hold them accountable when they themselves don't want to be held accountable?
So who bails the cat is the question. Because if we're saying that there is a point of turnaround and that there's a position, there's a possibility for turnaround where things can actually work, yes, parallel to one another, but one guiding the other, one taking, direction from another. How do you get there?
I think it's a long shot, but there's a whole new generation that is coming up that is saying, you know what, enough is enough with all this nonsense. We respect you as our spiritual elders, but there are certain lines we will not allow you to cross. We will hold you accountable. Yeah. And I've said, you know what, there will come a king who knew not Joseph. Even these national leaders in the churches, you live your life. But one day when you're out of that office, we'll audit you. We'll audit your office. And everything you took unlawfully, we'll get it back. We'll get it back because it was stolen from the church. Yeah, we'll get it all back. Yeah. So you do what you want. But a day is coming when we will hold you accountable. Yeah. So you live knowing that one day, these young people that you're taking advantage of here and abusing and stealing their money in the church, one day, yeah, one day. You remember the young people who are tear gassed on Langata Road? Today they are the Gen Z. Today they are the Gen Z.
They are
God has
radicalized.
orchestrated it such that siku inakuja. You tear gas them then, you never thought one day they'll grow up. Today, the Gen Zs who are saying, you're going home.
School.
There's a clergy, I won't mention names, there's a clergy who at some point was calling out the government. And then there's a politician who told him, kabla uonge urudishe ile pesa ulipewa na rais.
8 million.
Yes. Don't mention names because you see.
I wouldn't mention names, but I know.
He told him, kabla uonge.
That politician said,
yes.
Rudisha ile milioni 8 ulipewa.
Ndio tuanze kuongea. Kabla tu uongee, rudisha.
So,
and you see, kurudisha
if he hadn't taken that money, and that, you remember, initially I told you the power of a gift.
Yes.
That gift
it takes away your...
Exactly.
You're indebted. So it comes in form of 8 million is not a gift. It's not a gift. That's a price.
Yeah.
It's not a price.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a price.
A gift ni 5,000.
Yeah. So it's in that sense that the power of a gift, and politicians understand that. So they come into your constituency. The pastor needs a car, and it's true, he needs a car to move.
Yeah.
And so he buys that car, and he knows that whatever he does, he will never tarmac that road, he will never build that school, he will keep, stealing from these people. But the pastor will never speak because the car he's driving, yeah. And what it would take is for him one day to gather together with his elders and go to the governor's office or the senator's office, or the member of parliament's office, and take it back and say, nimekurudishia hii gari siitaki.
It can't happen because I've seen churches.
Ochanda said it's not going to happen.
Some churches where a political leader asks, mnataka van ama gari ya pastor. Then church leadership says, tunataka gari ya pastor. When that car comes, they want to fight over it. Instead of kurudisha as you propose, they now fight over that car. When the initial question was church van or pastor's car, you see a church van, I've seen some churches that are now even turning into income generating projects. This church van can be hired, and then as this bill was proposing, you separate the bank accounts.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that.
Yeah, the project is actually making some income and some revenues.
How many churches are audited?
You come from the church.
Let's start there. How many
Are churches audited?
They should be audited.
Are they?
Yeah. Even if not necessarily for government, because they are not taxed, but they should be audited. The elders should demand for an audited report every year to see how are we managing our monies. I think it's just good financial management. Yeah, where you audit your books and you see what have we done with what we have collected in regard to our strategic plan or our goals that we have set. But those things don't happen. And the reason why we don't want those things to happen is because there's mismanagement. And I want to say this, it's not just financial, but even management of our time and how we are running these institutions to fulfill the purposes that which the churches were established. Let me ask you, my brother, when you look back, the Anglican Church and the Presbyterian Church and the Catholic Church, basically just those three churches first, and maybe the AIC, they built schools and hospitals and churches around the country. How many hospitals have been built by the current churches today?
Is it because you don't have land, or because of course there are story buildings you can
you seem to
maximize?
You seem to be speaking to a plot having been lost.
No.
Or direction having been lost.
Is it that you don't have land? But the little land you have, you can construct story buildings.
The vision to self. Yeah, from the mission of the church to self. And you see, it's heartbreaking when the church loses its focus on the core mission of why it was established. Yeah. And I think we've lost it. We've lost it as a church.
But I've seen a church like Sitam. They have schools.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, they have schools. They are fairly contemporary churches.
I think they have done well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other
But
churches
that's
should
one church in an entire nation. Where I serve, we also have built schools within the Kenya Assemblies of God. But I'm trying to say, when you look at what was achieved by 3 churches in not many years, and in the last 60-something years in this country, I think would have done way more, than what the white man did for us. Yeah,
After
so
having
we are
picked up the
unable
mantle.
to manage ourselves. It's sad. Yeah, and not just in the church, but even in government.
But like you say, a time is coming when the reckoning will happen.
You've left out the Muslim. The Muslim also have their churches.
And we must hold each other accountable. We start in the church, we go into government, and every institution. Yeah, the way the schools are being run, it's sad. You know, teenage pregnancy is a runaway track. Who's addressing that? How come people tend to get away with it the way they want? Yeah.
And
you know, the
nothing
other
is being
day, the Senate ordered the IG, asked the IG to deliver a governor. The IG of this country was unable to bring the governor. And this governor has bodyguards who are policemen, who are subject to the IG. As in, sincerely speaking, who do you take us for? Yeah, we are a joke as a nation.
I hear what you're saying. And why we have some of these conversations is to bring ourselves to the realities of some things. And that brings us to the time that we have this morning. And I want to say thank you for opening up some of these things, having conversations around them, and hoping that we can actually get to the bottom of these things. But you say a time is coming.
A time is coming.
Bishop Tony Kiama, thank you for joining us this morning. Asante for being part of this conversation. We thank you.
God bless you.
Next time. Good morning. 2 minutes past 10. Good morning, everybody. Talk again tomorrow.
Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is Daniel Zoya. I'm Sheila Tembur. The National Assembly Tourism and Wildlife Committee has questioned the use of 300 million shillings on consultancy services under the Wildlife Compensation Program. The funds are part of 800 million shillings allocated to the State Department for Wildlife for compensation of victims of human-wildlife conflict. The committee, chaired by Mara MP Kareke Mbiyuki, said the consultancy cost could not be justified and sought clarification on the expenditure. Members are told the money was used to develop a digital system for a pilot compensation program, with parts of the funds also going to victim payouts. Voi MP Abdi Chome questioned the value for money, while Ijara MP Abdi Ali and Lamu East MP Mohamed Ruwaida raised concerns over transparency in the use of compensation funds. The committee was also informed that the State Department for Wildlife has been allocated 16.5 billion shillings in the